Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Irongeek cast number 162. I'm a fool for you. How's everybody doing tonight?
Still in quarantine.
Yeah, so this is day what?
7
Is it?
of the mandatory quarantine.
I thought it started last Thursday.
Wednesday night, so like around this time. So this is technically starting day 7.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll accept that.
yeah, technically it's this, but whatever. Nothing new to report, so I'm fine. I'm still working, so I still have a job, so that's good.
No projectile vomit or anything from the other end, like everything's staying together. No projectile. Excellent. That is good. Very good to hear.
Yeah, the walls are all still white behind me. Nothing. I haven't done some mass redecorating with bodily fluids yet.
Yeah, as I was saying that, kind of regretting I was saying it just because I knew it wouldn't be taken great. I was thinking about a couple of those memes where it's like, truck stop bathrooms and all the different ways of utilizing one, and woo, those get very interesting.
Yeah, my coworker's got a couple of really good stories from when he would work at gas stations. He literally quit because of one day in the bathroom.
Yeah, there's not a lot of places I go to the restroom. Oh, Home Depot, oddly enough, like a year or so ago, because those types of places, like I'm not going to go to the bathroom. It's going to be like a gas station bathroom, right? I had to go.
Yeah.
And went in, and the Home Depot bathroom was one of the most pristine, cleanest bathrooms I had ever seen in my life. I could not believe it.
Aren't they next to the cleaning supply aisle?
Probably depends on the store, but probably close. Because at least my local one, you have like the lumber area, whereas cleaning supplies, I don't know if they're always down that far. I think they're like back farther. I kind of forgot Home Depot had cleaning supplies. I wonder if they've been sold out this whole time. Huh.
I actually don't know. So might be that, might not be. I actually don't think so, because the moment that you go somewhere, like, other than also great mask, Adrian.
I got a baklava coming. There's all my face showing through the sides of it, and my beard hanging out the bottom don't exactly make it look right. But I got your baklava coming Saturday, so then I can go out shopping with it.
Heck yeah!
I actually went to take the trash out, and I took all the precautions that I needed to. That's awesome.
This is actually the one for my mother-in-law.
Oh, really?
It's the only one I have that's not a skull. So I was like, well, this one's yours.
It's half a skull and some skin and some hair.
Yeah.
No, so I actually suited up fully, just hoodie, whatever, long or full jeans, and then I took nitro gloves for when I would work in the garage. Put those on, threw my mechanic gloves on, and then I had my face mask and hat, and I was I look like I'm about ready to go rob some place, and I'm about to take the trash out.
I've generally gone out pretty raw, but I avoid touching things. If I touch the kiosk to buy something, I use this one knuckle, and I make sure I wash my hands well when I get back home.
Yeah, make sure you watch yourself with gas, too, whenever you're putting gas in your vehicle, because that's a big place that it's easily spread is the actual pump right now.
It kind of makes me think that they need to work on technology that's antimicrobial in plastics and such. For instance, like copper and brass have some antimicrobial properties, although we're talking about a half-life of 4 hours as opposed to stainless steel, which is can be days.
Yeah.
The other issue with copper and brass, at least with copper, is oxidation. So, or no, because copper
Yeah, as it
oxidizes. That's why the Statue of Liberty's
loses. Yeah, and then it loses the antimicrobial properties as it oxidizes. So yeah, you have to keep it clean and keep it shiny.
Brass doesn't seem to oxidize particularly fast, though.
No, brass won't. Copper will,
but it takes a long time.
Yeah, and that's why you can still get. I don't approve of this, but finding like old ammo somewhere, it's like it'll still work. It's just kind of volatile. There's other things in it. It's not the casings or anything.
I've probably been shooting 22s that are like 30 or 40 years old.
Oh, I've shot ammo that's 1930s. Like you can shoot some old crap.
Yeah, it depends on the condition of how it was stored.
Ultimately, it's going to be whether the primer's still good or not. I mean, and as long as it stayed sealed on the inside, as long as that powder's good and the primer's still good, it should go boom.
That's all you need to do. Also, my background check got approved today. Woo! Finally, after more than a week, actually. So the experiment's over.
Background for DoD stuff?
No, background check for purchasing firearm. No, just purchase.
What?
Purchase of a firearm.
You have to just purchase? You have to do a background check?
Yeah.
Oh wait, yes. Sorry. Yeah, you do. Okay, good. Wow, a week. It's been so long since I've.
Well, it's delayed. My understanding is there's a delay going on right now.
So there's a huge delay going on right now. And last week I said that I went and tried to purchase one on Monday because there was a mandatory thing that was going into effect the next day for my area. And so I'm like, all right, well, I was going to do this some other day, but let's just go see what they have. There's probably a deal out there. I found a really good deal on the SIG and told them to put it on hold. It took them from Monday last week till today. So that's 10 days to get that delay done through. And then they called me 40 minutes before the show started today.
Yeah, that 10 days. Yeah, because I bought a weapon Memorial Day or maybe 4th of July, I think, last year. And did it, through a vendor and everything. So I had to do a background check there. But yeah, normally it's put your information in. Okay, go walk around the store for 10 minutes. Hey, everything came back. But 10 days.
Yeah, and that's because you have everyone and their mother going out and buying firearms.
Yeah.
So they're not used to that much of an influx in background checks. And it's funny how I can't remember.
I mean, they were at a specific time. Back in 2008, 2009, I guarantee they were.
Oh, yeah. So whenever there's a crisis, the things that people go for are toilet paper, ammo, guns, and what else?
Well, toilet paper, that was
booze.
New. I got booze. Well, Pennsylvania, I don't think. That may have went to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, but I think they shut down any regular alcohol selling places. Yeah, but 2008, though, was when Obama took office, and most of the conservatives, Republicans went out and were like, screw it, we're buying all the ammo, all the firearms we can, just because there was a high expectation that he was going to limit that.
That is when I went out and got a bunch of 7.62 X39 and also got my AK.
Yeah.
Hey. Nothing wrong with that.
I think that was when I got my carry and conceal, because during his... what's all the stuff they're doing right now? Biden and them during their doing town hall meetings and whatever that stuff is they're calling it.
Campaigning?
Yeah, campaigns. Yeah, during his campaign, he actually had referred to restricting carry and conceal, and trying to restrict it nationwide and stuff.
Biden was talking about making Beto O'Rourke his gun czar or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, even now. I was talking about Obama, but yes.
Oh, sorry.
Biden was too, yeah. So the first thing I did was I went out, got my CCW. It's like, now I'm grandfathered. You can't take it immediately, at least.
Well, and then you've got states like mine where it's constitutional carry.
Well, and we have constitutional carry too, but that's open. Well, you can't conceal, right? It's open carry, right, for constitutional? Or can you conceal?
I will have to check, but my thought is, so my understanding of it is, at least on the restrictions I know, is that I cannot take it into a facility, so like a place of business, either a restaurant or whatever, where it is posted no firearms. So I legally cannot take a firearm into that place. Not that I would ever need to, if all utopia is everywhere want it to be. But I believe I can have it on my person and or in a vehicle as long as I am a resident in state.
Yeah. Okay. Because Ohio is an open carry state, so constitutional open carry. But then to conceal carry, that's where you have to get the permit and everything. So, but too, it's different from state to state. So
yeah, and my thing is I travel so much for work. Not right now, obviously, but before everything. Even if I was to go ahead and like, I'm gonna travel with my firearm, I'm not gonna do it if I don't have a permit. Like what? Like, especially not with where I have to go, where most of the time it's like California, New York, up and down everywhere.
And go ahead.
And anyway, if it's my rule of thumb is that, if you're like catching a flight or, you're going across town and it's like, well, I shouldn't forget my firearm, then you shouldn't be going to begin with.
And that's why, like my retirement plan, my wife doesn't know this, so nobody tell her. I kind of want to become a reserve sheriff. So there's a lot of counties that have like, sheriffs that can be called upon during certain circumstances. So I kind of want to get into that type of role because then you can carry nationwide on airplanes on blah, blah, blah.
But why would you want to? I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying
I can legally carry everywhere at any time.
But for what means?
Protection. What else?
Oh, okay, so what kind of situation do you ever plan on having yourself in to where you're in an active war zone?
I'm not even saying an active war zone.
Well, I mean when the shots are fired, it's a war zone. It doesn't matter whether it's,
Yeah, and I never planned to be in one, but I mean, even the Home Depot. I mean, not the one I normally go to, but the one over in where my brother and sister-in-law live, was robbed. Right around the time that I got my CCW, and so there was a person in there holding up the store, then putting people there, in danger. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's good to be prepared, just because you never know when something is going to occur. And I'd rather be able to have my gun with me at all times and be prepared 100% of the time and hope I never have to use it than have it sometimes. And
I mean,
the one time, the place I'm not allowed to have it because I'm a law-abiding citizen, but something happens at that point.
But the one instance you point out is local. I'm saying, at what point does it require you to hop a flight and go to? I'm just gonna pick one state at random. Let's just say Idaho.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, at what point do you need to find yourself wanting to pack iron in Idaho or Montana or Nevada?
Montana wildlife.
Well,
like if you're going out into the boonies.
Yeah, but if I'm going for business base purposes. I'm not necessarily going to be going out into the boonies. I'm still going to be in some type of a city most of the time.
No, I mean they'll just be blindly like in my head looking at a map and just pointing at places.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's so many circumstances and a what if use case, but you could get into an Uber and the Uber driver could go off their meds and try to take you captive. I mean, there are so many things that could happen,
And that's what my pig sticker's for, but not my iron.
Why not? I mean, if you had the accessibility to have iron, why wouldn't you take it?
Because like I said, my rule of thumb is if I have to pack my piece with me, then I really don't need to go.
I mean,
he's talking like avoidance of danger.
Yeah, avoidance of danger, but you never know what is going to happen. That's why you prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? Every day that you go out and drive and go from point A to point B, you are expecting and hoping that the driver in an oncoming lane does not just straight come into your lane and hit you head on. You accept a certain amount of risk by even getting out and driving on a daily basis.
I don't drive, I work from home.
But you get what I'm saying.
Always a plan.
You cannot foretell what is going to happen at any point in time in the future. If you could, please give me some of those lottery winnings. But you can't.
Are we on stream right now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, because there's no speaking icon.
Yeah, Adrian's got to go through OBS instead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it keeps saying something like no streamers available, and I think Parker is going to set me up a box, but it's not completely set up yet because it still requires individual passwords, which isn't going to necessarily work for this use case. One single password for all of us to get in, which I may start putting in the various chats. That'd be okay, but all of us logging in individually might be a management nightmare.
Parker. The only Parker. Did you say Parker?
Parker.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The only Parker I know is the one from Gold Rush, if you've ever watched that show.
Yeah, he's been on a few times before, but not real regularly. Parker Schmidt.
Nice.
And for some reason, my battery's starting to run down, even though I have this plugged in. Let me see if I add extra power, if it will stay up. Man, this Macintosh, one of the USB ports, I only had it
what you said.
I've only had it for a year, and one of the USB 3 ports has already gone out, it seems. The keyboard's fragile as hell, and I spent a lot on this motherfucker.
Took you 18 minutes to make that joke.
And it is what year, Mac?
I believe it's a late 2018 model.
Yeah, so that definitely will have keyboard issues.
Yeah, I put one of these little covers on it, which really should be in the first place, because, egad, you spill anything on it, it's... Macs from like 2016 to 2018 were pretty bad about that.
I think it was up to 19. Like mid-19, somewhere in there. But yeah, they were pretty rough.
I'm going to say a few things in the show notes. We have a list in the show notes of various conferences that have moved their dates into fall or late summer. And as far as I know, Hoosier HackerCon still has its plans for the current dates that it's set at. Although, keep in mind, we're also doing webinars. I put a link in there. There's going to be a webinar tomorrow night, I believe, at 10 p.m. Let me confirm that. Eastern time. 10 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow night. Jason Street is going to be the first guest lecturer.
Cool. And that's actually an interesting idea. So are you thinking about making that kind of an ongoing thing where maybe like monthly that there is a webinar associated with Hoosier HackerCon?
Actually, we got some set up for weekly.
Really?
Yeah, we currently have, and I haven't announced this online, and this may be subject to change. On April 9th, got Gillis Jones doing a talk on a Project Peep Show, a preview. Not sure what that is. Tyrone Wilson is doing something on the 16th. Amelia Coran is doing something on the 23rd. Luke McComb is doing something on the 30th, and then we have John Wally Praver is giving one on May 5th. No, sorry, May 7th, and May 7th. It's going to be on COVID-19 infrastructure.
Nice.
And for what Scott's telling me, that should be a really good one. I'm trying to get Charles on the one, but he hasn't sent me his details yet.
Well, he is quite an elusive individual.
Yeah, he's kind of running every which way at once.
Has there been any discussion on maybe, some type of trainings?
At the event itself, no, because there's only so many rooms and we have it for 3 days, and trying to do trainings at the same time you're doing talks.
I'm not even talking like at the physical con. I'm talking virtual. Since you're talking weekly items. That's 52 time slots. If it's every single week, you could potentially get some trainings in there too.
We might do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, because that'd be really cool and a definite benefit to the InfoSec community.
A reverse engineering of malicious Docker containers. I could throw that one out.
Ooh, look at that.
Well, everybody but Jack and Liz have given us a rundown of what they're going through right now. How you two doing?
I can't complain. I still got a paycheck, so I'm better than a lot of people are now.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard from quite a few, I won't say a lot, but a number of individuals who, if they are still working, they had their salaries drop down by a specific percentage, so.
Yeah, it depends on the industry and company.
Yeah, mine were included in that, and that's just so that we can keep doing business.
Yep.
It happens. Service-based industries are, of course, hit the worst, and it's kind of ironic that the places that are suffering the most economically, cities, are the places everyone moved to because all the economic everything was going on there. If you move away from the city, there's more economic activity now because businesses are still open-ish.
Yep.
Funny how I found out a little ironic.
Yeah, I actually have to find a story that I think I'll throw in the show notes, maybe into other stuff that we might actually discuss about a company, an IT company, that it's in relation to the government stipend. They ask their employees to put it into the company.
What?
Yeah, okay. So, start thinking of, all those different things. I'm going to go find that link that was sent to me, and I will be putting that in the show notes for us to further discuss that, after we get through, all of the security stuff, because that kind of goes into more of the business side of things.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I have to pee. I'll be right back.
Okay. Thank you for the warning.
I'll let you know how it comes out.
Awesome. I cannot wait. Can we get a second by second playback on it?
Fun.
Yeah. Okay, Jack. How's your week been?
Go ahead and say it.
Cappy.
I've already said how mine's going.
No. You were supposed to say how Jack's week's been.
He's good.
He's good.
So to pass the buck, it's pass the Jack response.
Ooh, I like that. Pass the Jack.
Yeah.
For some reason, I want to call Jack a doctor. I just don't know why. Okay. Cappy, you want to get into breach report side?
Yeah, let's start with that. So, only one thing on ransomware, because I'm sick and tired of talking about ransomware, because that's been basically my last 2 weeks have been just ransomware IR. But
hey, and real quick, why is August 21st the high in breach report?
No idea. I don't know. Maybe it adds up to 40. Maybe it adds up to 42 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
2, 1. Okay.
Yeah, it would be 8. Yeah, no. 8 plus 21 is 29, so no. I don't know. I don't know why it's there. Anyway, Affordocare, and I put raised eyebrows there because I'm like, that's a fake name if I've ever heard one. Hit with ransomware. And so AffordCare, patients notified of security breach. They are an urgent care clinic chain, which operates 2 locations in Abilene, notified patients by letter of a security breach that may have exposed their data earlier in the year. According to a Tuesday news release, Affordicare discovered on February 4th that its servers had suffered a ransomware attack on or around February 1st. And after investigation, they determined hackers had accessed the servers and some confidential information may have been removed. This release said, and the release is there, this data includes patient name, address, telephone number, date of birth, age, date of visit, location of visit, reason for visit, insurance plan provider, insurance plan policy number, insurance group number, treatment codes, and descriptions and brief comments from healthcare provider.
Bum, bum, bum.
So basically your entire medical history just got leaked if you have gone to a Affordicare urgent care clinic. So, and I believe this is in Abilene is in where? That's the...
Isn't Abilene in Texas?
Yeah, it's in Texas,
Yeah.
North Texas.
North Texas? Okay. That's what I kind of sounded familiar. Affordicare said that it is offering potentially compromised patients with instructions on implementing safeguards and identity theft protection services, which includes credit monitoring, insurance, and identity theft recovery. Law enforcement authorities also were notified, the release said.
You know, I was thinking about too, because a lot of the time, whenever you go to a doctor or something, right, they're going to, or at least a new doctor, they're going to contact the old doctor and get your records from the old doctor. So if all that data gets dumped into the system, then yeah, like you said, you know, they can potentially have that entire history, medical history of yours as well. Yeah, that would suck.
Especially if it's something that is like you're going to urgent care because you need to see a doctor, not in an emergency setting, but in like, I'm really sick and my doctor isn't available. I need to go do this. And then those records then go back and forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're pretty much liable. And I believe they probably won't hold all of your medical history, but anything that you go in for an urgent care visit, usually you have to, at least the last time I went to an urgent care, you have to get screened, or you're not screened, you're at least screened questions, at least verbally, like, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you do this? What about this? And then that all goes into their record. So they might actually have a not as clear and concrete version of your medical history, but they'll have something that's fairly close, at least in broad terms.
Yeah. Like last time I went to an actual doctor visit was for a physical back in my senior year of high school for playing sports. So that was like the official doctor visit. Then I did go to an urgent care probably 4 years ago, you know, doing some remodeling, working on the house. And yeah, stupid nail sticking up in a board, and I stepped on it, went up through my foot. So went to go get my what is it? Tetanus, right? No.
Yes.
Yeah, tetanus shot. So yeah, that's when I went to a doctor. But still, they put in some of my information, and I don't know where they pulled it from, but they were telling me some of my past medical information. It's like, that's very interesting. Where'd you get that? Where's that stored?
Well, if you're also in like I think there are some places, like you have like your big, like your normal clinical stuff. they might have been partnered with it, I think, is how that data transfer would work. I'd actually have to talk to my father about that, since his whole career is around health IT and health software.
Yes.
See what he thinks.
Yes. Okay, what's next? Marriott.
Yeah, breached again.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, so this is from TechCrunch. I should probably just be sharing my screen, actually. 1 second, although this might get a little gnarly. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. So, 5.2 million guest records were stolen in another data breach from Marriott. So, Marriott confirmed a second data breach in 3 years. So, we covered one right when I started coming to the cast. I remember that now. So, personal information of 5.2 million guests, the hotel giant said Tuesday it discovered in late February. Weird, February. The breach of an unspecified property system at a franchise hotel. The hackers obtained the login details of 2 employees, the hotel statement said, and broke in weeks earlier during mid-January. Marriott said it has, quote, no reason, end quote, to believe payment data was stolen, but warned that names, addresses, phone numbers, loyalty member numbers, or member data, dates of birth, and other travel information such as linked airline loyalty numbers and room preferences were taken in the breach. So straight up breach, but like a shit ton of records on that. But the one in 2018 was way worse at 383 million guest data records.
Yeah, but there's a big difference though too. 2018 was worse, but that was only Starwood. With this breach, it sounds like we're not talking about Starwood or some subsidy. We're actually talking about full-scale Marriott this time.
Yep, and with that, prompts a swift response from European authorities as they fall under GDPR, because they have EU citizens that will stay at their hotels if they so choose, and so the EU issued Marriott with a fine of $123 million in the wake of this breach.
Well, how are they going to get their monies?
Oh gosh. Yeah, no one's staying there.
Yes, and yeah, not right now, but there is a lot of talk, at least within the U.S. I don't know about like Europe and other areas, but utilizing hotels for emergency rooms, right, for COVID-19 cases.
I also heard there was a stipend. I forget which state. I believe it was California and or Seattle area. That had it that the government or the state level government put in effect that a hotel was to house what am I thinking? Homeless people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So like those areas that are like super like they've got a big homeless problem. They at least have a place to stay. LA was just bad the last time I was there. They at least have a place to stay. They can practice the social distancing.
I told it to shit in and not the sidewalk.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, like that's an entirely different problem. But I believe that state government is paying hotels to do that, so that's probably where Marriott and other hotel chains are going to be getting a lot of their money for the foreseeable future.
No, I was just joking. I was just joking about that. Of course, they're going to get their money because they're either going to levy it against them in taxes, or they're going to flat out say, pay us the fine, or we remove your rights to operate in any EU country.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting if it does get to that point. As far as I know, it hasn't gotten to that point of any any republic making the hotels do anything like this yet. It'll be interesting if it gets to that point, though.
Yeah. Interesting side note. It was New York Times, I think. They did a audio podcast that talked about the Chinese economy and how it's supposed to recover, or at least how they're projecting it to recover.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, those like hospitals that they built in like 2 days that were falling.
Yeah.
They were built by state-owned construction companies. So the state literally was able to just like move all of the legal tape out of the way and build up all these hospitals. However, in addition to that, there's also a fair deficit on their budget now because of it. But the story goes into it later, and it's completely different from InfoSec, but it's still a good listen.
Those are the hospitals that had iron barred windows, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I think a hospital should be put in quotes in there.
Was the concrete made out of just like sand and water and nothing else?
I have no idea. I'm not a
throwing a hospital up in 2 days. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I'm not an architectural engineer nor a civic engineer.
How do you get anything to? I mean, even if it was like full cement or concrete, how do you get it to cure in a 2-day time frame?
It's not fully concrete. It's actually, well, it might be a little bit of concrete with poles buried, and it's essentially a tin shelter.
It sounds like they just shoved their worst cases in there. Like if it was falling apart, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
As long as it just did well enough for long enough.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not putting
international regulatory bodies away from them.
You're not putting, water pipes in there. You're going to have maybe a generator and a few things outside. Like temper your expectations down.
Yeah. But too, I mean, I don't trust any reporting coming out of China right now. Like zero.
After they kicked out a bunch of reporters.
Yeah.
Even before then it was bad, but this is.
Well, I mean, first off, this all started in China, like October to November time frame? I don't know if we know the exact, week or so, but it was October to November, and then they kept it underwater until January, essentially. And we started getting whistleblowers start to talk about it. I know there was that one doctor who released some information. And then
he was the first one to find it, yeah.
Yeah, he unfortunately passed away, but that was January. It had already been going full-blown for 2 months in China, and people traveling from China to other places. You just think the U.S. has been working on a response for about 2 to 2.5 months now, but that was only once we actually knew anything about it. And we have people...
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You finish first.
Well, I was just going to say, but for a 2 month to 2.5 month time frame prior to us even having any idea about it, we had people traveling globally potentially with it, and we had people who had symptoms of the flu getting, coming back negative for having the flu, which means they probably had COVID-19. And yeah, it's hard to say how many actual cases yet. I think the death count, unfortunately, is going to be one of the primary indicators for this, because not everybody is obviously going to be tested. People are going to have it, recover, but that's not going to get recognized on a scale of any type. Death cases will be recognized, but I think that's going to be the only indicator we're going to be able to have for the best understanding of it.
Well, but you have to realize not all the medical consequences of this are death. There are people who, lung damage, testicle damage.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Really?
Well, I've heard hormone imbalances, and I read a paper which
Jack, you better watch
mentioned that the coronavirus apparently does like to collect in testicles for some reason.
Really?
It's unclear as to the end result of that.
I hadn't heard about that one. I'll have to check that out.
It's unclear what the end result of that would be, but can't be good.
No, that doesn't sound pleasant at all.
No.
Man, that testicle reduced testosterone. Oh my gosh, you are not going to see a bodybuilder leave their house for the next 2 years.
Well, either way, they're going to be like fucking twigs.
Jack, that video, I'm just thinking of that video you sent me a couple weeks back. No.
Oh, you mean the diabetes video?
Yeah, the diabetes video. They gotta make a follow-up to that video. I'm just not feeling like it today, sweetie. And he does like the hand gesture.
Wow, that is definitely unfortunate. I'm gonna look more into that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you were right. There's a lot of stories talking about that, and this is the first I'd heard of it.
Yeah, I heard about the testicle part before the stories came out saying testosterone. So, yeah.
Interesting.
So I imagine we're going to be hearing the after effects of the coronavirus for years to come.
Huh.
Or defects.
Well, and two, I wonder if we'll see from the testosterone side. I wonder if it's going to affect their ability to mate and everything like that. Yeah.
Have an erection, you mean? You can say it. Don't be shy. You're a big boy.
No, I mean, but actually, like sperm production and everything. I wonder if that will be lessened, or the sperm have complications with it. Right?
I mean, yeah, it's
not just like on the erectile dysfunction side, but actually being able to have kids. Like
I hear you, and unfortunately, I got nothing for you beyond conjecture.
Yeah. Like I said, bodybuilders, stay inside, don't go out. Or men, if you would like to populate in the future too.
I'm sad because I don't like. I can do my back. I can do if I got push-ups, pull-ups. I got nothing for my legs. My legs are gonna fucking wither and die or snap.
No, not really. There's exercises you can do with your legs.
Without weights?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you got to remember too. What are we going to consider weights? There are going to be things in apartments and homes that have weight associated to them, and figuring out if you can pick them up, get them up in a appropriate stance, hold them to the sides, jugs of water, things like that.
The way I was doing, anything I would do at my apartment would, anything even remotely that weighing that much would be extremely unsafe to do that with.
No. So you ever heard of for better purposes, the invisible chair?
No.
Put your back up against the wall, bend your knees to a 45-degree angle as if you're sitting in the chair, and hold your arms out. That's the best fucking workout you could ever have for 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
20 minutes. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I was going to be like, yep, I can do that for about 8 to 10, and then Jack throws out 20. Damn, Jack.
Well, I mean, that's a leg workout.
Yes, and it will burn the world out of you. Isolation techniques are amazing. And two, there's things out there. I don't like to be like a company spokesman or anything, and I don't work with them. I just like the product. There's a thing out there called X3. It's resistance band-based exercises, but you can do upper body, lower body, all kinds of stuff, and you can do it at home. It's quick. But X3 is not the only one. I think it's by far one of the better ones, but there's other resistance-based trainings that don't take up a ton of space. I still have like a 300-pound weight set upstairs, Olympic bars, everything like that, but I've kind of done away with those, and I'm just using the X3 now. But there are options that don't take up a lot of space.
Yeah. Well.
And whenever I ordered granted, it is pricey. If you use the discount code, it's like, I don't know, $475. If you don't use the discount code, I think it's like $550. But whenever I ordered, there was a 2 to 3 week back order lead time. And now I think they're essentially, you order it, they're shipping it out like that day or next day. So it's not bad. My parents use it. My brother has it. I have it, obviously. My wife uses it. It's a pretty good system. But not just that, there's other things. Resistance bands are not bad. You can get some very significant weight being lifted with bands. I mean, even the black band, which is the highest that you get just in the regular system, I think is something like 250 to 350 pounds of resistance, depend upon where you are in the process. Whenever you're not putting a lot of weight on or a lot of pressure on yet, you're talking about 150 pounds all the way out. I think it's like, actually, yeah, I think it's less. I think it's like 2 to 250, like fully extended type of thing, with the band doubled. But you can get some really, really good weight being lifted, even with just some bands and a bar and a plate on the floor. Okay, infomercial over. Cappy, you are still sharing your screen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Still got show notes.
There you go.
All right. So, third-party data breach exposes General Electric employees' personal information. So past and present employees of GE or General Electric are learning that their sensitive information has been exposed by a data breach of a third-party service vendor. Fortune 500 company GE says it was recently informed of a security breach at one of its partners, Canon Business Process Services. According to GE, between approximately February 3rd to Valentine's Day of this year, an unauthorized party managed to gain access to a Canon email account that contained sensitive information on current and former employees, as well as beneficiaries. What the hackers managed to access was effectively a treasure trove of information which could be sold on underground forums to other criminals and fraudsters, blah, blah, blah. Information about GE employees gained by the hack of Canon email accounts included direct deposit forums.
Why in the hell would they have all this shit out in the clear?
Yeah, that's what it's not in the clear, it's in an email. There's a password.
That's not that
I know.
That is not anywhere close to fucking encryption.
I know. Driver's licenses. It gets worse. Passports, birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, medical child support orders, tax withholding forms, beneficiary designation forms, and applications for benefits such as retirement, severance, and death benefits with related forms and documents.
So in other words, they just got a hold of hr@ge.com.
Uh-huh. You're muted, Israel.
So with the tax withholding forms, you got social security information. I mean, what don't they have?
Exactly.
You are so completely screwed. Like they need to be doing 5 different services of identity theft protection. Like one, no, that's not going to be enough. Like they are hosed. This is absurd.
Yeah, and this is current and former. So, like, you don't even have to be working there now.
Gosh.
So they don't have data sanitation on employees past and present.
Holy crap. This... Yep. Sorry, GE. If I worked for you right now, I'd be quitting immediately. And
or Canon.
My gosh.
Canon's the one that got breached, and they had access probably to the HR at GE.
Why? Why in the hell? Yeah. What a printer! What? Well, does Canon do stuff other than printers? Like what else?
Yes.
Yeah.
What types of things do they do?
Cameras.
Oh, they do Oh yeah,
I forgot about cameras, scanners. Yeah. I mean, so it must have been some kind of fucking scanning capabilities that they were doing.
Could have been like OCR types of stuff.
Which in and of itself is also stupid, because why the fuck was this shit encrypted? Mm-hmm. If you're even if it's within your own domain and you have your own encryption system, then you encrypt it. No ifs, ands, buts, or anything about it. But unless you're sending it to an outside email, and then after that, it's a two solution thing where one, you encrypt the zip, and then you use another means to give the person the password for it.
Yeah. Wow. This is
bad.
This is so absurd. It's not even funny.
It's very bad. Yeah. So
holy crap.
They haven't disclosed a number yet. And I believe this was put out. No, this was put out last week. Early this week. Sunday. So that's probably an active or concluding investigation that's happening right now. And they probably found evidence of it actually being exfiltrated, which is why it's coming out. So this is either a midway through investigation or the tail end of an investigation right now. So we'll probably get more numbers in weeks to come if I was running this engagement.
Yeah, this is completely absurd.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate. I mean, I feel like we talk about GE at least probably once a quarter or so, right? In some way or some fashion.
Probably
not really.
I feel like we have. I don't think it was every quarter. I think that's at least once or twice a year we talk about them.
So maybe every 6 months.
Yeah, and right now,
I mean, because we're not only talking like this breach, but light bulbs and other,
like IoT devices. And
that they're involved in. Yeah. Huh. Man, this one is just
it's bad. It's a doozy.
Really absurd.
Yeah, it's a doozy. That's like this right here is how you fake an identity.
Oh yeah,
well, faking identity.
That is me going and creating a new one.
Mm-hmm.
I already got a passport. Because I know for a fact that even if you were to renew yours tomorrow or whenever, it's still going to be good for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you have birth certificate, you have passport, that is 100% stealing it and say, screw it, I'm now going to go do a name change and
take my marriage certificate and annul someone's marriage.
or travel travel out of the country on your own papers and then return back on theirs, and then it looks like you're fucking elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a good idea. That's horrible.
Yeah, I know. I know, right?
Wow. Yeah, that is absurd.
And that one's a little nuts. I can't remember which one of these is the better one. I think it's this one's the better one here. All right, next up, we've got T-Mobile reveals security breach, customers' data exposed. So, if you haven't heard, T-Mobile acquired Sprint, so they are having a merger right now. So
officially today, finally, after like 2 years. So that now brings them up into like the Verizon and AT&T levels.
So
it's going to be shitty for everyone except for T-Mobile.
Does this mean I'm finally going to get better support on my Sprint phone in like Bloomington, Indiana?
No, it means the Sprint phone's going to be going away.
It means T-Mobile's going to get shittier support because just like they have less competition. They're just going to fire people if there's less competition.
Well,
there's going to be a lot of redundancies with the Sprint merger. There's going to be a lot of people who are fired. With less competition in general, there's less incentive to have good service.
The biggest thing with existing customers will be over, I'd say probably the next year to 2 years, because it's going to take some time once they start merging all the technologies, right? And so it's no longer Sprint airwaves and T-Mobile airwaves. They start to merge those into one, and then existing Sprint and T-Mobile customers will be able to benefit from both the airwaves.
I don't know.
It's going to be the benefit. And they are locked in, I think, for 36 months, for 3 years, at not doing price increases. And they had to do something with DirecTV, which I didn't read deep into that. Liz, did you hit on that any? Or they had to do something with DirecTV and
let me see. If I forget, there's been so much media mergers, and the telecom industry is so good at lobbying people over the age of 70 that
and two, they've been trying to do this merger for like 2 years. So a lot of what finally occurred, hardly anybody actually knows.
Yeah, and a lot of people want to blame it on Trump, but I'll be honest here. The telecom industry is great at fooling people who don't really know anything about technology. I think Verizon's chief lobbyist is called their chief diversity officer.
Oh shit!
I'm not kidding. It's part of the way to get around lobbying laws and regulations.
That's when you know titles are meaningless.
They've also, it is a little bit more than that, but essentially he's a chief lobbyist. David Cohn, I think his name. Anyways, other than that, they give a lot of money. They spread money around to a lot of small diversity groups, like LGBT or African American support groups or religious groups or something nexus of that. And just tell them, hey, we'd really like it if you would publish, assign this note here, or we're saying net neutrality is terrible for the African American community. Sign this. Or if they sometimes they don't even ask. They just go ahead and slap the names of various small charitable organizations onto letterhead and just send it to lawmakers. And before you think this is just them taking advantage of the left, they have a pretty damn good stranglehold over a lot of right-wing think tanks. Stranglehold is the wrong term. The ear of a lot of libertarian right-wing think tanks. They have somehow framed, they frame any and all regulation at all whatsoever is a violation of their rights and this big government coming to take away everything from you. And so they play both sides. They very frequently play both sides. Generally,
I think
know better.
I think they play all three sides. Don't forget that the government still wants to come and slurp up that data.
Oh yeah, AT&T is by far the worst in that. My God, they're the worst.
But Sprint, T-Mobile, Nextel, Boost Mobile, even though those three are still underneath Sprint, they're not fucking innocent of the whole situation either. So
no, but AT&T is the only one I'm aware of that actually is a commercial product. They advertise to bounty hunters and lawyers and private investigators to get people's internet metadata.
Well, AT&T sees about 1/3 of all the global public IP space. It travels through their hardware. So, yeah, they definitely have the capabilities to be able to do that.
It's very possible other major ISPs have a similar service. All of them do shady stuff with your data. T-Mobile's been caught multiple times selling your data to bounty hunters. Well, third-party services, which then sell your data to bounty hunters. Or more specifically, a very poorly secured web portal where if you edit a local variable on the website, it lets you put in any phone number you want whatsoever for free.
Oh, yeah, that was funny.
And after T-Mobile said, "I'm so sorry, Congress, we'll never do it again," they got caught a year later doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, except they changed the name of the program.
Yeah, John, whatever, I think it was John, but whoever their CEO is, apparently he's taking a early retirement.
Yeah, he got the fuck up out of there real quick.
And somebody, because he was already provisioned to step down, he just did it earlier. And then they have somebody else now who's going to be CEO.
I think it's Lejeune or something like that.
That's something along those lines. Yeah. But telecoms. I'm hoping, maybe in 30 or 40 years, we'll have, people in Congress who are not so easily fooled for telecom lobbying. But that's not really how the dynamics work. The dynamics work.
I just want to be done with lobbying. If we can be done with lobbyists, how amazing
good luck.
would that be?
Good luck, because as one politician put it to me, we take the checks, we count the votes, and we move the fuck on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sad but true, and also information that was stolen in this is customer names, addresses, phone numbers, billing information, email addresses, account numbers, rate plans. According to the company, people behind the breach have not accessed financial data as credit card numbers, social security numbers. Why the hell would you have that password?
Yeah, with a phone. Why would you have social security?
As a customer.
Social security numbers are compromised in the T-Mobile breach?
It's not. It's not.
But why?
Yeah, credit checks. They would have credit checks.
Oh, okay. Good call.
Okay, now unless you are giving them your social security, I don't recall ever giving a phone company my social security number.
You probably
you did.
With them. You signed up with them, most likely you did, because they want to do a credit check on you, make sure that you're worthy.
Yeah, because especially if you didn't pay for a phone up front and now you're essentially taking a line of credit and buying a phone and you're paying on installments, they're probably going to do some type of credit check and social security with that. I had not thought about that.
Yeah, if you buy a phone like outright and do a prepaid service, they're not going to. But if you do postpaid,
no.
Prepaid may or may not. It's true. Some of them they're starting to for fraud. But there's still a possibility that you may not get a credit check with those.
Yeah, I'm
just saying. 2008 is when they started doing it, because that's when I had to. That's because I was buying prepaid phones on a weekly basis, 7 at a time. You figure it out. I had to stop doing it because they started asking to see my ID, and it didn't matter what kind of fucking prepaid phone I was trying to pick up. So I had to start getting other people to kite my prepaid phones.
That's okay.
Oh, they were looking for you specifically because you were shady.
No, it was fucking everywhere.
Not slim. Not slim shady, but just shady.
Well, because prepaid phones, burner phones like that are used for a lot of let's call it less than legal reasons, less than legal means. So they want to check that stuff. So it makes sense. That's kind of why they started cracking down on it more in the last decade or so.
Like I said, it was 2008 because I remember that like it was yesterday, because I walked into a Radio Shack and and I was going to buy one phone.
Well, you walked into a Radio Shack. That'll tell us how long ago it was.
And you could walk into a Radio Shack. Yeah.
It really depends on where you're doing it, because even these days, depending on the region, you can still do that without getting.
You go to a bodega in like little Mexico somewhere, or little Cuba somewhere. Yeah, more likely you're going to get a burner phone without a check.
I can get a burner phone without a check. I did one last year.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to Kroger, Walmart.
No. Those places were the same too. I was like, what?
No,
because Because they wanted to run my driver's license number and associate it with the phone.
I've done self-checkout with burner phone at those locations and been able to go through.
Like I said, this was 2008. I'm not doing that anymore. So
yeah, it's not 100%. So there are places and ways and means of still getting phones. Well, and to think about, if you acquire a SIM card and you buy a phone from whoever, you can still do that stuff. No. Yeah. I'm not saying do bad things. I'm saying you can't do bad things.
I'm not saying that after it was. I'm not saying that after it was over with, I didn't, pull up on some random person to the bus stop and toss them a phone and say, "Go nuts."
Exactly.
Anyways.
Anywho.
Speaking of telecom, I guess, Virgin Media data breach. So.
Wait a minute. Virgin Media or Virgin Mobile?
Virgin Media.
Virgin Media, I believe, is the parent company to Virgin Mobile.
Because Virgin Mobile is a virtual company of Sprint.
Yeah, so you have Virgin. So Virgin Media is reportedly one of the latest UK companies to suffer a data security breach on March 5th, 2020. It published a statement. God dang it! Freaking ads. In-site ads can go die in a blaze of glory if all I care. Okay, it published a statement on its website explaining that one of its databases had been accessed without Virgin Media's authorization due to a configuration issue. That means authentication or any username or creds were not there. That's an open database, my friends. It is reported that the database had been left unsecured since April 2019, and that it had contained information about approximately 900,000 existing and potential customers. Virgin Media states that the compromised information was most likely limited to contact and product data, and importantly, did not contain any financial information or passwords. But, names, phone numbers, potential accounts, that's phishing targets to me. So
yes,
that's me calling up. Well, I'm from, I can't do my English accent right now. I'm here with Virgin Media Group. We're trying to do a campaign to give you this new data plan because you guys are all locked up. We've got this new cellular data plan so that you have unlimited data for $5 a month. While you're stuck at home and because of the COVID-19 epidemic that's happening right now in London, UK area. And would you be interested in that? That's my in. Easy.
So what does Richard Branson still own?
Virgin Galactic?
The airline closed down, right?
Yeah, I mean, because he was originally over Virgin Mobile and Media, right? And Jack is right. Virgin Mobile is owned by Sprint, and Virgin Media is owned by Liberty Global, whoever they are.
But, yeah, UK based. Yeah, something or other.
I thought he still owned something.
I'm pretty sure he's selling
all of them off.
I'm pretty sure he's in the race, or at least he has a company in the race for the privatization of space travel. Because it's him.
Oh, yeah.
It's him, Musk, and Bezos right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, cat is.
Okay, sorry. I totally derailed that one.
No, it's all good. It's a short article. That's basically what happened. 900,000 potential and existing customers. If you're a UK listener or viewer, I guess, go and make sure that your stuff is there and fixed. Reset passwords at least just to be safe on pretty much all your stuff, and don't answer calls that you don't know the origin of.
Yes. Anything you can multi-factor, multi-factor.
As we always say.
Yes.
All right, and that is it for breach report.
Report.
All right. Well, kind of, actually. So next up, we've got breaches. You love them. You don't, like, not at all, but stats. So saw this as I was going through and writing the show notes. 3/4 of large firms suffered security breaches last year. So in a reported census, about 72 to 86% of them were hit. I'm not going to go through all these numbers, but essentially, survey says most companies are screwed at this point. And this is at least put into UK's numbers. So nearly half of the UK firms reportedly suffered a security breach or cyber attack over the past year, an increase on previous years, but they are getting better at recovering from and deflecting such blows according to the government. And it's something to look at on, like, okay, we talk about a lot of like US based companies that kind of are in everything and everywhere and around the world. Like, they're international companies, like GE, international company. What else have we talked about? Marriott, international company. They fall under these things. They're not based in the UK or even in the EU. I believe they're, at least Marriott's not, and that's the one I'm thinking it might be. But seeing this, I want to know eventually if I can find an article on how the US compares, because after this year, it's going to be like at least over half. At least half of them will have some sort of cyber incident or cyber attack incident or a breach incident.
Well, and again, that's where it would be nice if we had defined standards, right? Because even organizations I've worked with and worked for in the past, it's up to them to report what has occurred and them defining what is the breach. My definition of a breach is going to be different than the C-suite's definition of a breach.
Yep.
My definition is essentially anything that has altered the flow of business is going to ultimately be a breach. Roughly saying. Theirs is going to be more on the financial. And to side, we don't necessarily have to. We don't have to. So, yes, I agree from a numbers perspective. 50% of, and again, should define what the actual size of the organization is. Large, some people say is this, and others will say it's other, but actually have a definition around the actual size of the organization, and then let's actually start getting around, because we are so under right now. It's not even funny.
Yeah, think of it like. That's every company ever.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
That's every company ever that's ever not reported a breach. Like,
and China with coronavirus, we haven't seen those stats go up on infected in the last 2 months. Do we really, or maybe month and a half?
I don't know,
month and a half, somewhere in that range.
Accurate. So then you have to think about it. Are the people that are going away, are they being replaced by a new batch of infected?
That's an excellent question. But if we don't have accurate reporting, how in the hell are we supposed to be able to make a decision or be able to account for anything regarding it?
Well, no, I mean, I'm just saying that's one way the numbers couldn't go up, is that, like if this number right here balances this number right here, then it's still the same number.
Well, I mean,
as long as you don't report the people who fell off the list.
I mean, that's North Korea, right? Yeah. That's North Korea. Today we had 2 infections. Hey, guess what? Tomorrow we have 0 infections. But we also cannot have an accurate understanding of how massively or unmassively something can increase if we don't have accurate data. It's kind of like my son. If he does something and withholds it from me, I can't. If it's something really bad, I'm not going to know about it, right? Because he thinks he's going to get punished for it. So China is doing the same type of thing. And I think there's others that may not be fully reporting, but China's the biggest one right now. If we were to have the information from China and have a total understanding of it, other countries, not just the US obviously, but other countries can also work off that cumulative data and be able to attack it in a more comprehensive level. Just like with my son, if he were to set fire to my house, that's something I want to know about. Like, I'm not going to punish him. Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to be in trouble for setting fire to a house, but there's other priorities that are going to take place, right? It's not like he slapped his little brother upside the head or something. It's something important that needs to occur now. Like, I'm not going to punish him for it that now. We're going to get out of the house. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I have zero thought that China is accurately reporting numbers. China needs to accurately report numbers because they are going to have, we've seen like the satellite photos, right? Bulldozers, mass graves, everything else. The places that have the little things where there's expected to be ashes, remains of individuals who have been, crap, I forgot the, what is it when somebody's burned and
cremated?
Cremated, yes. And there's thousands of them. Yeah, sorry. My soapbox. We need accurate numbers.
Yeah, and in the same way, this is just tying it back into the article. It's what we need to start having in breach reporting or any other sort of security incident. Like if you get into how many companies are withholding, and this is a rhetorical question, but how many companies are withholding the fact that they have like a 0 day that they have that was attacked, that they were attacked with, and then just never reported it. Yeah, there's going to be tons of those.
And those that are publicly traded companies are going to be much higher than those that aren't. Those that are not publicly traded are going to bring people in because it's not going to affect the stock, the price, right? Those that are publicly traded, it could potentially affect stock. So they're not necessarily always going to want to release that information immediately. The larger scales, the GEs, those that have, that are above potentially a certain price are going to release it faster than somebody who's kind of, $8 to $10 a share, or maybe even lower, who's, if something big were to occur and set the share price to a low enough level that a buyout could occur, they're going to hold back and try to avoid a buyout. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it does happen.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things, like if we can not so much promote a version of security where it is, or of breaches where it's hey, we got hit with this, share this out so that this doesn't happen to you. More like,
yes,
but that I'm also getting on like a soapbox of like in a perfect world, like all that other crap.
Yes, and two, there are groups that do that. So, like my local ISC Square group used to, it was not ISC Squared. It was called Security MBA. Security MBA stood for Masters of Beer Appreciation. But we could restate anything that anybody said, but we did not attribute the source. It's kind of like a reverse NDA, right? So we didn't say what company this affected, but this is what happened at the company. And we would take that information, reutilize it, and strengthen defenses. And it worked really well. Really good thing. Still happens with that group. If anybody's listening who goes to the group, sorry, I haven't been there in a few years, had some kids, and haven't had much time. But that is really the place that we need to get to. Let's stop attributing sources. Who cares about the source? Let's find out what happened, get that information out there, and protect systems.
I don't care where it came from. I'm caring about what it did. Who it came from can happen later.
Exactly.
Like what it
and attribution, yeah, that's a crapshoot. So,
well, if you want attribution, just throw a dart at a map, essentially. Like
it was Russia. Well, no, actually, it was China. No, it was Russia and China. Well, it was one too.
And here's the thing too. Like even with ransomware stuff, yeah, I can attribute a ransomware in like 5 minutes because there's so much extenuating data around it, and also people identify it and are like, hey, this is this. And so when I'm on an engagement and the client's not giving me what I want, especially when I'm remote, it's super easy. It's super nice to have that, just being like, all right, show me something. Like as long as they have like one thing, I can figure it out. Attribution's not the issue. The issue comes down to is, especially with breaches and what we're seeing, what I'm seeing at least in firsthand experiences, the uptick of drive-by ransomware attacks that are targeting VPN solutions from things like SonaNoKibi, by the way.
Why can't we just say REvil? It's so much easier.
Sorry, REvil is
so
the same.
Much easier.
Same one.
SonaNoKibi. Who remembers Sona? I'm
I do, but that's because I have heard it so much, and I've been following ransomware stuff my entire career, basically, or at least since 2017. Okay, lost my train of thought for a second there. But having that ability to say, hey, company X at Fortune 500, blah blah blah, Dow Index, blah, also had the same breach. Here's their detailed report on the execution status and their analysis from their investigation. And I can now use that to say and advise a client, like, we need to do XYZ like right now. And we can also fix this and this and this. And let me look for these markers. There isn't that right now in my feeling. But there's also a lot of things moving to like in-memory crap. So it's like analysis gets...
Yeah, but the in-memory stuff, I mean, we're still talking, that is fairly advanced, right? We still have enough script kiddies and low-hanging fruit. The in-memory, yes, does exist, but that is definitely a highly targeted side, right?
It depends.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen like purely in-memory yet in a script kiddie scenario, have you?
Not a payload.
Okay.
So there was one a few weeks back, and it wasn't ransomware, but it was, and I think it was just someone poking around trying to get a data breach or trying to get a breach of information, which I believe I don't know at this point. I have to look at my notes, and I'm not going to disclose that live anyway.
Yeah.
Dodge a bullet there, Nate. The payload essentially was just the scope was get onto the VPN, get into the network, and then grab whatever data off of whoever's machine, and then just pipe that out over Megafile or Megasync or TeamViewer or whatever. Like they literally were just like, this was like script kiddie stuff, and it was kind of heart wrenching that it actually worked at all. That they're able to just randomly put programs on and they were allowed through the firewall, but. That's how some companies are. That's how mature some companies are, and that's why I do what I do. So for the most part,
and it's
also just really fun to hack shit.
And two, it is honestly difficult. And I'm not going to downplay that it's not difficult, but it is difficult for outbound rules on the firewalls, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sites that are needed to conduct business. You still have to have the accessibility.
CIA triangle. Sorry.
What was that? Who laughed?
Girlfriend laughing in the background.
Oh, okay.
Are you?
You still have to conduct business. We're still live, Jack. But you have to conduct business. Employees still have to be able to do certain items, right? Because if you have it as Fort Knox, Jack, quiet, I know. But if you have it as Fort Knox and they can't get email, they can't do such and such, maybe access Facebook, you don't work for the government type of thing, you have an uprising, right? So it's definitely difficult to administrate outbound access.
Right, and like you said, where it's like where you make it difficult where you have people who will just, quite frankly, start using their phones, and all of a sudden you have a shadow IT situation, or
well, I mean, but too, if they use their phones, and that's why I'm all for like having better cellular connectivity. If they use their phone, they're on cellular and not Wi-Fi. Screw it. Why would I care? Right?
I'm just saying, like conducting business, sending email.
Conducting business, no. Like that's aggravating. But doing social stuff that keeps them happy as an employee, I'm good with that.
No, because I thought that whole spiel was about striking that balance between what you allow on a network and what you allow on an outbound firewall.
Yes.
So that's why, like, if you go to a granular level to a certain point, where you have to, where all of a sudden people are having to put in requests to, hey, I need access to this site on the content filter, or I need access. I need this to open.
Yeah, and that definitely does happen. And that was what I was going at, but you gave me like the best case scenario, so I had to jump on it because that would be awesome. Because like a lot of my background was manufacturing, and if you or anybody listening has ever worked with manufacturing, they're oftentimes in the worst locations ever, because manufacturing goes for the places where you get the cheapest employees who will work the hardest the longest type of thing. That does not mean that there's going to be great internet connection there. There's going to be cell phone coverage there. Nothing. It just means you're going to get cheap rates at that location. And that does not necessarily mean within the US. That's going to be globally. But yeah. Crap. Where was I going with that? Jack, what'd you say?
Oh, well, I mean, I worked in warehouse manufacturing positions. Well, I've worked for companies that were warehouse manufacturers, and it was, and the cellular signal was fine. It wasn't like it was out in BFE, but then at the same time, But then at the same time, they had shitty internet. That one night that I protested, that I made their part-time T1 connection a full-time one for 4 hours.
Nice. But yes, if you have employees, if the cellular connection is there, like try to get them to do their personal stuff through their cell phones. Try if they do actual like business oriented things for the cell phones, make sure you have that secured up. You're doing multi-factor, you're encrypting the data channels, you're doing all that stuff. But try to move as much stuff off of your pipes over to their pipes. Try to get that off of your stuff. If you if it's not a strong signal, get repeaters in for Sprint and T-Mobile and AT&T and Verizon. Get the repeaters in so they can still have their cell phone access. Granted, that will go over your pipes, but it's going to be 100% different channel. It's not going to be hitting your internal systems. But yeah, I don't like bring your own devices at all, ever. But to keep employees there and keep them happy, in today's day and age is almost a necessity. And there's ways of doing it without it going straight through your environment. And if you have the appropriate resources and the appropriate technology, it can be a benefit to have it go straight over your environment. You fully segment them off into their own VLAN, ACL them, monitor all that traffic. Like, that can be good, but it's difficult to do 100%. Can be done though. I've done it.
Cool. Knowledge passed down.
And yes, Bruno, Python. We're all for it.
Yes. Got some cool things in the works with written in Python here soon. Wow. Nice. Soon as I mean in like 2 to 4 months.
Oh, come on. You're not allowed to leave the house except take out trash. You should have that done in like 3 hours.
Not with this one.
Did you order a pizza yet?
Oh yeah, I've ordered pizza. Nothing wrong with pizza, man.
Wait, through Python?
Not yet, but
oh, you could do it though.
Does Uber have an API? We'll have to check here in a bit. Paste.
Or Grubhub.
Yeah, why won't this paste?
Oh, there we go. Grubhub API. Review documentation.
Well, the keyboard was disconnected. That's fun.
Hey, Grubhub has an API for anybody who wants to exploit it. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Cappy, Zoom Doom.
No, not yet. We still got human error equals 60%. Me, an intellectual hacker, 100% of breaches. I know it's a bad meme.
Okay.
So we've got more stats very briefly, and it's from the same writer actually. Human error is linked to 60% of security breaches. This is kind of a well-known thing. This is from that same UK survey. Figured I'd throw it up there. We've already expelled a crap ton of knowledge on this topic already. But it's also kind of cool to just go through and see, all right, here's how much a percentage is this. If you're a owner of a company or you work at a company, you're the CISO, security team lead, like IT dude in general, like or your desktop support. Think about your day.
Cappy, if the dude abides, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Next week I'll do the full full dude abide or Big Lebowski get up. I'll move a poster around too so that it actually is. Yeah, my rug is in the garage because it's getting a little torn up, sadly, from use. But yeah, so this kind of covers that same thing, but this is something that we kind of been saying for forever, and I've been saying it forever. Layer 8 is always the human in the security stack, or in the network stack. If you get to a human, you get to everything. So it's the lowest thing on that totem pole, and you get access to everything. Now we get to Zoom Doom.
Zoom Doom.
Yeah. So, two things there. Zoom recently was found to there are 2 Zoom 0-day flaws that were uncovered this week. And with everyone working from home, everyone is using Zoom, or Zoom is one of the biggest use cases for working from home at this point. Everyone really likes it. It's a great interface. I like it. I use it. But I have some issues.
A lot of schools are using it too.
Schools are using it too now. So it's not just the business side. Zoom, if you have stock in that company, whew, you're good.
Are they traded?
I believe so. I believe they're public. I don't know yet. They should go public after this, or not after today, but like in 2 or 3 months. Okay, so the 0-day Zoom flaws could give local unprivileged attackers root privileges and allow them to access victims' microphones and camera. So these 2 0-day flaws have been uncovered in Zoom's Mac OS client version. Hey, there's no malware for Mac, or vulnerabilities in Mac. According to researchers, the web conferencing platform vulnerabilities could give local unprivileged access. I already said this. The 2 flaws uncovered by Patrick Wardle, principal security researcher with Jamf, I hope I'm saying that right, emerge as Zoom comes under increased scrutiny over its data security measures, particularly with more employees working from home over the past few weeks due to the coronavirus pandemic. And this is a quote from, I believe, the security researcher. Yes. Today we uncovered 2 local security issues affecting Zoom's Mac OS application. Given Zoom's privacy and security track record, this would surprise absolutely 0 people, says the Mr. Wardle. Yeah. The vulnerabilities comes with the caveat that an attacker needs a local foothold on a system to exploit them. Some bad actors would first need physical access to a victim's computer or can phish it. Another attack scenario could include a post-malware infection attack, like what I just said. The first flaw stems from an issue with Zoom's installer that allows unprivileged attackers to gain root privileges. The issue stems from Zoom installer using the, authorization execute with privileges application programming interface API function. Okay. Whew. Okay. So essentially what that's going to mean is when you're running the application, it in Zoom has the authentication to do things on your system. So when you're in a web conference and you want to take over someone's display, like say you're working on a PowerPoint presentation together and you want to pass it off to the next speaker, they take over your display. The reason that works is because of this API thing. So by using that same API thing or call, you can then say, hey, give me whatever information's in there and then grab those things. The API has actually been deprecated by Apple because it does not attempt to validate a binary being executed as root. So that's an issue. So you have to be on the box as well. So the second 0-day flaw gives attackers Zoom's mic and camera access, allowing for a way to record Zoom meetings or snoop on victims' personal lives, sans a user access prompt. Ooh, it's like something we've been doing for forever, ?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty standard stuff. It goes into it a little bit, but there are some other security flaws. The FBI on Tuesday warned of multiple reports of conferences being disrupted by pornographic or hate images and threatening language in so-called Zoom bombing attacks, where people were able to go in and infiltrate, quote unquote, Zoom meetings to display pornography and other heinous images. There's a comma in that sentence, by the way. But yeah, and this goes into some more of the reversing of everything from Hacker Fantastic. But I think we're going to be moving on from this one. It kind of ends there. So
yeah, I mean, like with the Zoom thing though too. I mean, it's kind of been because Zoom, right, has hit Twitter with all the InfoSec people this week getting all bitchy about it. Mm-hmm. WebEx doesn't use end-to-end encryption. Very minimal, few of them do. Zoom and their privacy statements don't really list out all that much stuff in regard to privacy. It was like lawyered up. So yeah, we'll see. They've been pretty good in the past to when security issues arise to address them, but we'll see kind of how they handle this one.
Or I can tell you how their stock is doing.
Yeah, I looked that up too, and they are still riding high. I mean, it's dropped some, but it is not shabby at all.
Yeah, no, even from like a month ago. So that here, I'll throw this up onto the screen here. We'll just go right there. So this is the monthly view. So from April 1st to March 1st, or March 2nd, excuse me. So they were about 113. So this was like right at the beginning stages of when the outbreak started happening.
Yeah, the outbreak has not affected them any.
Yeah,
everything. That has affected them is due to recent findings, and outbreak has not affected them any.
They opened today at 146, ended at 137, but from where they started a month ago, that's still a $20 increase. They're still fine.
Yes.
Stock wise, but apparently it's an older company than I thought it was. 2011. Oof.
Yeah, and $137 a share. That's that
no dividends yet, but they have a market cap of 38.22 billion. Wait, no, is that general market cap? I have no idea what to see here. Oof. Anyways, so yeah, Zoom's gonna be fine. At least it's gonna be around for a while.
Yeah,
we'll just get used to it. All right. And Microsoft SQL backdoored Israel. You want to take this one since you kind of know a bit more about it?
Maybe. Okay. So there's a MS SQL server backdoor developed by Chinese cyber spies. I like that phrase, cyber spies. Like, when do you actually get that title? Can you actually go into a job and automatically get that title? Is that like, after a couple of years and a couple of promotions, a cyber spy?
I think you're like handpicked for it.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so, because that title sounds freaking amazing.
Or a journalist just gives it to you.
Oh, so you're saying I need to get to know some journalists who don't piss me off. I like that. Okay, so ESET said hackers deployed a backdoor as a post-infection tool after compromising networks through other methods. Name Skip 2.0. ESET said the backdoor modified MS SQL functions that handled authentication. The idea is to create a magic password. If the magic password is entered inside any user authenticated session, the user is automatically granted access, while normally logging and audit functions are prevented from executing, effectively creating a ghosted session inside the server. That's kind of fun. And I have not looked into the magic password all that much yet. But they did say the backdoor has been linked to the WinNTI group, generic name ESET uses to describe Chinese state-sponsored hackers. So apparently coronavirus has not affected them enough. They are still proactively hacking systems globally. Skip 2 contained clues that linked it to other WinNTI hacking tools such as port ruse and shadowpad backdoors. Persistence. Let's see what else. IPTs. Okay, such a backdoor could allow an attacker to stealthily copy, modify, or delete database content. This content could be used, for example, to manipulate in-game currencies for financial game. In-game currency database manipulations have been reported. So yeah, FireEye is linking it to APT41, which is a known Chinese-based group. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And this has been apparently exploited. This is in regard to SQL version 12 and 11. So it's not just like a current, it's also a couple back. But something to be aware of. It will be patched soon, I'm sure if it hasn't been patched already. But again, as always, make sure you are keeping up on your patches. Expose as minimal to the public IP space as possible. Just don't give attackers that foothold to be able to even get into. I found out from somebody that they were using Shodan to essentially give them a security understanding of their IP space, public IP space. Don't do that.
I'm not totally writing a tool to do that.
Yeah, like, don't do that. Like, don't keep your firewalls open to Shodan, at least their public IP scanners, and using Shodan to check your stuff. That's just not a good idea. Because I'm going to, and Caprico and about 500,000 other people are going to go in and also be looking at your public IP space through Shodan then. So don't do that. Block out Shodan's scanners. Just don't let them scan your public IP space. Get the vast majority of script kiddies away from your environment that easily, that quick. Because Shodan, and they do change it every once in a while, so you got to keep up with it. But their main scanners are within a specific range, and it's only like maybe once every 2 or 3 years that they actually change. So, like, block those out.
Explain.
Don't let them scan your stuff, and then the script kiddies won't know what all these vulnerabilities you have in place are. But yeah, don't try and justify and say that you are using Shodan to expose your current vulnerabilities. That's not a good game plan. Because you need to know your current vulnerabilities, but that should not come at the expense of the rest of the world also knowing what they are.
And if you're doing it to that point, there is a enterprise version of Shodan that you can pay for. It's fairly expensive, but for like an individual like me. But if you're a business and your lifeblood is online, you're going to have to probably pony up if you want Shodan to help you with that. But even then, dude, like, pen tests are going to be much cheaper than what that price tag is going to be, or a data breach. Like, if you want to, even just like a vuln scan, that's going to be cheaper than a pen test. Like, if you want to just know what vulnerabilities are out there and what I can see on the public internet, go for it. Like, just hit someone up. I don't even care if it goes through like us, like any of our companies that we work for that do penetration testing or security services that are like there. Just get it done by someone. That way, at least it's, if you don't have access to $4,000 or whatever it is for a Nessus license or whatever, just get it out there. Get those vulnerabilities checked out. Don't use Shodan. That's nuts. Ugh. All right, next up, we have iOS VPN access. Apple is not having a good day. So Apple iOS 13.4 hit with VPN bypass vulnerability. It's less than a week since Apple's iOS 13.4 appeared, and already researchers have discovered a bug that puts a risk, or the risk puts at risk the privacy of virtual private network connections. Publicized by Proton VPN, the issue is a bypass flaw caused by iOS not closing existing connections, such as it establishes a VPN tunnel, affecting iOS 13.3.1 as well as the latest 13.4 version. The company said it was disclosing the issue despite there being no patch because it believed it was better that providers and users knew about it now. Remote working and VPN use has increased as much more workers self-isolate to avoid COVID-19. Luckily, Proton VPN has also discovered a workaround which involves turning airplane mode on and off to reset all connections. Yeah, just turn your phone off and on again, and your VPN connection will close. So essentially what this means is that with that open VPN connection, someone could sniff more of that traffic. Like it's like you're only making one VPN tunnel, and that key is never going to change. So that encryption key is never going to change or reconnect, or it'll just stay open. So you're susceptible to like Starbucks style man-in-the-middle attacks. It's nuts. So workaround for it: if you're using if you have to use your iPhone for and VPN into your company's network to access certain files while you're hopefully not out and about during this, connect the app's VPN server, turn on airplane mode, turn off airplane mode, and you should have a new, fresh, clean VPN instance. It should be patched fairly quickly, though, as Apple is pretty quick on the ball when it comes to their flagship devices. All right. Cool little thing. So, top 10 web app phones of 2019. So, just very briefly, going to go over like top 5 here. Google search cross-site scripting. Someone found a cross-site scripting vulnerability in Google search. So you go to google.com, you go and look for it, or go look for cat pictures or whatever. Yeah, you also could cross-site script. And I believe it was self-cross-site scripting for this one. It's been a while since I read the full article on that, but still. Even from the most financially stable companies like Google, they're still going to make mistakes, and they'll still have mistakes found. Cross-site leaks. This is another attack that is not new, but gaining momentum with HTTP caching being attacked from all fronts. While there are decent preventions against this attack, most of the internet is still prone to it. So essentially it is you have something cached on your system, or there's a cross-site link, and you cache something from your website. Let's say it's a banking website, and then you go to my site, and I grab whatever you cached from your banking site in your browser and upload that to my server. That's a leak, which is what they're doing here. Web caching en masse is essentially that same thing that we saw there. No byte buffer overflow. Edge Chromium had a remote code and execution vulnerability that was found in it over NTP of all things.
Nice.
Padding oracles and fixed IDs. Setting patience and creativity. Teddy Katz walks you through how static IDs, initialization vectors, padding oracles, concatenation, and moving random junk can lead to escalated privileges. So essentially it's padding, stack, buffer, overflow kind of thing. DOM clobbering Gmail. Using a well-known technique known as DOM clobbering, researcher Michael Benkowski shows how to perform XSS and AMP for email, a feature in Gmail that makes it possible for emails to include dynamic HTML content. So like all your pretty pictures and whatever that are in there. At White Hat, we will still find plenty of websites that do not include CSP headers and just include like 30 different other ones that don't make a goddamn sense. And CSP is a small step towards building a secure environment that we can net powerful returns for email. Cache poison DNS or denial of service, reusing cookies, QR code scan, cross-site scripting. So you take your phone, you scan it there, and then cross-site scripting into the iPhone or your Android device. It is hilarious. Check that one out. And all the references are there as well to each of the top 10 from last year from Security Boulevard's list.
Yeah, and there's still a lot that don't have like SPF, like SPF enabled. Aren't authenticating the sending server. If you authenticate the sending server, you will reduce your spam and phishing attempts by probably, I don't know, what would you guys say, 95%? You're not going to have a forged email come through. You're not going to have an emulated email come through. Anything like that, right? So the attempts to, hey, I am the VP of finance. You need to wire X amount of money to this account. That's no longer going to happen. So, just one of those things.
Yep. All right. So I just had all of my messages just fly in, apparently. That was fun. Yeah, like all of my work or coworkers were like, oh, time to talk. It's like, oh, okay. All right. New Wi-Fi vuln, now with tooling. Crook exploit. Tool allows pen testers to probe for Wi-Fi security vulnerability. Launch of Rookie Cookie may assist researchers in some cases, but caveats do apply. Yeah. Rookie Cookie. Should call it Wookie Cookie. That's hard to say. The so-called Crook vulnerability, if you go to that link, there is a PDF there, and mobile device chipsets discovered by researchers at ESET last month causes vulnerable devices to use an all-zero wireless encryption key.
That's funny.
It's like having null as your password. Yes. An attacker might be able to exploit this flaw in the CVEs attached there to easily decrypt wireless network packets transmitted by a vulnerable device. The fault condition is triggered by specifically timed and handcrafted traffic that causes internal errors in devices that make use of vulnerable Wi-Fi chips by Broadcom and Cypress. So basically every chip in your iPhones and most flagship Android devices.
Yeah, anything that is a halfway decent device.
Yeah. Your burner phone is probably not susceptible to this.
I don't know. I mean, you have to remember that what's on the prepaid market now, what's on the prepaid burner phone market now, is high end at one time.
Yes,
it was high end. Yeah, that makes sense. Which devices are vulnerable? Pretty much anything that we said. Anything that's got your smartphones, tablets, laptops, and IoT gadgets that have Wi-Fi access. It's got one of those chipsets in it, you're basically screwed. So I believe there's a full list in here somewhere where ESET's got it on their site. Rookie Cookie probably also has a list of vulnerable devices in the GitHub as well. I believe that's where this goes. Yeah. So something to check out. Next time I do a wireless assessment, I'll probably play around with it a little more in my lab, but we'll see. Nice. Might be the next thing that gets added to Wi-Fi. If it actually gets added to Wi-Fi, that would be great. Because Wi-Fi is amazingly awesome for going on site. It's like, cool, just run thing, and I'm in.
Yes.
Wireless is a joke.
It can be. You can do it right, but yes, it can be a joke.
Yeah. All right. Very quickly here, just because I thought this was funny, this doesn't have anything to do with any sort of Microsoft vulnerability. No, you're effing up when Microsoft directly warns you, a hospital, fix your vulnerable VPN appliances. Because they're having so much trouble. I can't tell you how many times that I've heard someone's VPN got hit. And I've been on, all my stuff has been like 3 or 4 different engagements of just like PulseSecure, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Shitrix, like all those guys. Within the past year, we've been talking about this stuff all year, that VPN solutions have major critical vulnerabilities that if you are not patching them, which I understand that hospitals have bigger things on their plate right now, but patching right now needs to be a big concern. Downtime is going to be an issue for you, as I know, but you're going to have a way bigger headache when all of your systems are down and you can't get them back up.
Yeah. I wonder, I hate to say it, but there was some, what do they describe themselves as? Independent contractors would probably be a good phrase for them, but who didn't get paid, but vigilante groups. We'll say that. There's vigilante groups here about 3-4 years ago. They may still exist. I just have not been in the atmosphere for quite a while.
Patch hackers?
Yeah, kind of, yes. Where they would do some of that. The hacking side, not necessarily always patch it, but advise and leave remnants, for security people to find that really piss them off. Like, hey, we were able to do this, you should patch your stuff, type of thing. I don't know if there's very many or any still out there existing, but I'm wondering if kind of red team pen testing companies are, and it's not appropriate to say taking advantage, but utilizing this to assist, hospitals, maybe lower the rates, try to get in there and, not be a business, a money making business, be an assistance in this time with hospitals and other organizations that are kind of the very, very frontline criticals. We know about World Health Organization, the DDoS attack. Yeah, it was fairly benign, but there are going to be a lot of attacks. People are definitely going to take advantage of this circumstance. We hear about phishing attempts constantly, people doing the scams of their phones, essentially globally at this point. But I don't know if there are any, but potentially maybe some red team and pen testing side, lowering the rates and saying or maybe even give free assessments. I don't know. But maybe some pen testing groups are going to get out there and help the hospitals.
So I will say this because it is public knowledge, and this isn't an advertisement for the company. I try to keep as much of the company that I work for out of the podcast, since this is kind of outside of work in general. But the company I work for does offer free services right now, I believe, to those affected by COVID-19. That might extend, but I am not 100% sure on that, to hospitals. We do want to have I don't think that extends to the pen test side, but if there's something in the contract for free pen test now, services rendered later after everything kind of dies down, if it dies down, might be a thing. And I know one of our competitors, and I don't know what the competitor's name is, but they are giving out free services as well. So it's starting to happen.
Yeah. and that's a good thing. Whether they were to go through your company or another one, search out and find. And I don't want to say take advantage, but if you are in a situation where you are a hospital, you are a smaller medical practice or something who is still up and essential, and you still have to work, and the vast majority of your employees are remote now, whatever the case may be, like get in, find the services, whether it is Caprico's company or others, find somebody, get an assessment done, find out where the vulnerabilities are, patch them, and then, you should be good at least for the time being. But in this place and time, you have an advantage. So get out there, do something with it. Never let a crisis go to waste.
Where there is chaos, there is opportunity.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunity right now.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it's not just me that's saying that Art Evil is going nuts. One group the Microsoft team has been tracking is Art Evil, aka So Didn't Know Kitty, ransomware gang, which is known for making massive ransom demands on businesses and government agencies. In January, it was caught targeting unpatched pulse secure VPNs, as well as flaws in all enterprise Citrix servers. Could have told you that 4 weeks ago.
I just talked to somebody today who had Pulse Secure VPN. So, yep, fun stuff.
It's not. No, it's not. Ugh. Upgrade your stuff, patch your stuff, or at least sneeze on the server. It might be a little more secure after that.
Ain't no one will touch it.
Hey, calm down, COVID.
Now, COVID causes you to have a dry cough, not necessarily sneezes.
Hey, you could still sneeze.
Yeah, I could still sneeze from the allergies, I suppose.
Yes, I'm still going to call you COVID from here on out.
I'm the one in quarantine because of possible exposure.
Yeah, but you're like 8'2".
It doesn't matter.
Also, I think the youngest person who's died from it was 14, and that's incredibly freaking rare. So someone your age, I don't think,
I don't think it was 14.
I think it was single digits younger.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll look it up.
Anyways, so we're on to other stuff. I forgot to put in the summary of the week from Stisa. Whoops.
Patch your shit.
Patch
your shit, and I think they sent out an advisory against Draytech devices.
Oh, apparently there was an infant that died because of it. But that, my saying, is incredibly rare. So,
yeah.
All right, so kind of sidelining from security and kind of talking COVID-based IT business side. All right, so an Oklahoma-based company wants to keep employees $1,200 stimulus payments. Yes, you read that right. So if you're not aware, the government has. Screw you. The government is going to send out at least or depending on income, generally it's going to be a $1,200 stimulus payment to individuals that are citizens of the U.S. and it's only to citizens, blah, blah, blah.
Well, yeah, and the company is obviously now stating that they are not paying their employees more than $90,000 a year, because they're not eligible for payments at all if it's over 90. I think, right?
Yeah. So one of the few positive. So I'm just going to read this article as much as it's kind of needed, and then kind of go to you guys because we saw this and we were like, ooh, okay, we got scared because of our pay cut situation, if this was going to be a thing, or if they were going to even ask this. But that hasn't happened. I don't think it will happen, blah, blah, blah. So one of the few positive things about coronavirus pandemic is that it shows just how greedy, heartless, and merciless some corporations can truly be. And I'm pretty sure that's the founder and president of the company right there. For example, we learned via Ogle Mole Network, that's a made-up name if I've ever seen one, that ImageNet Consulting, an Oklahoma City-based information technology solutions firm that sells high-dollar copiers, scanners, and IT services to companies all across the country, wanted their remaining employees to forfeit a portion of their April paycheck that is equal to the amount they will receive from their government-issued coronavirus stimulus payment. Basically, ImageNet Consulting came up with a plan to pocket their employees' stimulus checks. The move came after the company had already conducted mass layoffs as a result of the pandemic. It was the first kind reported by KXAN out of Austin, which is home to an ImageNet Consulting branch. For some reason, KXAN didn't identify the company by name. Their statement is below. In all fairness to ImageNet, they could use the extra money. According to the blog post by company CEO Pat Russell, the privately held company, which is worth at least 9 figures, only has annual revenues that exceed $100 million and margins that run about 40%. So they obviously need their employee stimulus checks to remain so profitable.
I don't know. I'm feeling kind of iffy on this one.
That doesn't. So here's
first off, the Lost Ogle, I'm starting to do a little bit of searches. I'm not finding a lot of legitimate resources around it.
Ogle Mole Network.
Yeah, I mean, this may very well be legitimate. I
don't know. It just seems like inside a whistleblower to me.
I feel. Well, I mean, I just feel like the site is kind of. I feel like it's like a duffel blog, or a Babylon Bee, esque type of site. I don't know if it is fully legitimate.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but figured I'd throw it in there.
And too, it's Oklahoma.
Where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a move that a big corporate or a tiny corp would make.
Yeah, I mean, and two, they did not identify who the actual company is. Like,
KXAN didn't.
Yeah, I mean, but do we know who the company is?
So actually, hang on one second. I'm moving. We've also acquired a blurry attachment to an email that ImageNet sent to their employees yesterday. Get out your magnifying glass and read it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm iffy on this one.
We're working hard to manage and minimize the revenue decline, but it's something we need to take seriously to manage health, blah, blah, blah. First was focus on cost controls. Every department has tight budgets, renegotiated vendor contracts, cut on all unnecessary and unused products. Second, it became necessary however, it's necessary to prepare for the unknown future and protect the business. At this point, there is no plan to make further cuts. We feel confident, blah, 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 business speak.
It just sounds like somebody got a visit from the Good Idea Fairy, and it turns out it's a very bad fucking idea.
Yeah. That's just one example. We must congratulate Team Houston for winning, blah, blah, blah. Enormous win, great team effort, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's not down there.
Yeah. So if like in the actual link, there's the parentheses update. ImageNet abandons plan to pocket employee stimulus checks. So I mean, it may be legit.
So
this all feels very, very iffy. But if it is in fact true, then
first concern was ensuring we could keep as many people unemployed as long as possible. We implemented a series of steps to cut costs, including asking our tops execs to forego their pay and capping all salaries at $75,000. Okay. Sorry, siren going by. While there was uncertainty about
they're coming for you, Cappy.
Yay!
You're like, yes, isolation and free food. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Got my own bed.
Yeah. You're like, is this a buffet? Is it an all I can eat? That'd be awesome.
I actually can't do all I can eat, but that's a different issue. Our company continues to develop all government programs which will help us weather those unprecedented situations. However, we understand our plan was ill-advised, so they did have a plan to actually do this. We presented the potential program, and we apologize for any pain or confusion it caused. I'm gonna say this. Yikes!
Yeah, that was completely asinine. I mean,
yeah.
The lost toggle. A lot of these links are like cringe. Maybe
it's a local news site, so
yeah. But them actually like having this on here, and it's like, oh, we apologize for actually asking for this. Like, holy crap, this was not a 100% satire site. Like, what in the hell is wrong with you?
Local Oklahoma.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I mean, because you heard me talking. Like, I'm looking at it. I'm not seeing a lot that is gonna legitimize the site. Like, I think this is a satire site.
Once I got to those attachments, though, I'm like, okay, these could be forged. But then that one, it's like, that's bad. That's you guys did this and you guys are going to do this and got caught.
Oh my gosh. People, see, Jack, we were talking at the very beginning about conceal and carry. This is why you conceal and carry. This is why you want to be able to conceal everywhere. There are stupid people everywhere. Like, you do not know if and when you will encounter a stupid person. At some point, it will happen.
Okay, George Carlin.
You need to protect yourself. I like that.
Israel's turning into fucking George Carlin here.
Dude, I do have a lot more hair right here, though. Like, I do have quite a bit of hair still in the center.
So far. His all shifted.
It did. Over the years, it shifted. Yes.
Over the years, it shifted.
But, I mean, there are morons out there. And two, there are morons who are going to have a gun. And that is why I'm like, I don't care where I'm at any time. You never know what some idiot is going to be willing to do at any point in time. And that's why I like to have my CCW and have my gun with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, SARS. COVID-V2.
Yeah. Adrian, this one was yours.
Yep. Apparently people have been setting up like these mobile testing stations for SARS-CoV-2.
And you got cops too.
And the reports on it are that they're charging either $250 or $200 for the tests. Sometimes insurance can pay for it. This is all in the article from the Courier Journal, which I linked to in the show notes. And apparently they're also collecting they're collecting insurance information, obviously, when they can, and also apparently social security numbers. So it's kind of a questionable service. Apparently the Louisville government doesn't know what the hell they're about and doesn't have authorization from them. So It's all very questionable. I found out about it earlier today when someone started a live stream from what is it? I think it was like the Louisville area apocalypse survival group or something like that. And someone was doing a live broadcast, and then I started looking around for more information, and Courier Journal had an article on it. So apparently people are using this particular pandemic to possibly scam people. Or maybe it's a legit service. At the same time, it sounds a little fly-by-night.
Yeah. I am going to say like 99.999% certainly it is a scam. Especially if the government side has no understanding of it.
Yeah.
Because local government is fully administrating and deploying these different services. Like everybody's looking at like federal side. Yeah, federal side can make recommendations, but they're not necessarily like the end all be all. It is the local state side that determines what is going to occur within their own state.
Apparently, Metro Council President David James told the Courier Journal on Wednesday that the tests are a scam. So the Metro government doesn't know, and I'm not actually sure how Louisville is organized. Louisville's across the river from me, but like the city and the county government are all fused now to one thing.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about the gist of it. In other words, if you live in the city, it's still the same, and if you live in the county, you get fucked slightly. Or if you're in my case, you get fucked really, really rather hard.
I don't know. I don't feel like you're screwed if you don't engage with any of them.
Let's see here. I live in a small strip of land that's between two cities, but it's ghetto as fuck.
Well, I mean, you are a very attractive Hispanic man, so yeah, I understand that.
Oh boy.
I mean, I had to say it.
I know it could be the case. Hispanic is more of a cultural thing.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
so,
I've met Hispanic.
How do you feel about this?
You're saying that Jack is Blaxican, right?
No.
He could have Puerto Rican ancestors.
I've actually had people ask me, "Hey, are you Hispanic?" And I always respond back, "Yes, I'm Dominican."
Yeah,
I thought you were too tall, though.
I've met Hispanic people who are whiter than I am, and Hispanic people who you would consider black. I mean, that it's all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes, if we want to get literal and not get fun about it, yes. And Jack, Jack is definitely not. What would you say, Jack? You are not like black, right?
I'm not completely, no.
Yeah, I mean, and two, like most there are very few individuals that you are going to meet, even white people who are actually white. You're going to meet a few albinos in your lifetime who are actually potentially white. And you're going to meet a few people who are actually black. And that's going to be a very minimal amount of people. So coming from an actual colorization perspective, like you are going to meet essentially people who are in between that. Whether they are Chinese, African, white, whatever, Alaskans, Hawaiians, humans. Yeah, I like that one. They are some coloration in between white and I don't know if I've ever honestly seen somebody who is black. Somebody who is a very dark brown color potentially, but I don't think I've ever actually seen a person who is black.
I've seen some people who are very darkly pigmented.
Yeah, I've seen people who are dark, have a very dark pigmentation, but it's usually a dark brown. I don't think.
There's also a term.
No. I mean, they are, but if you go to that island, you won't live very long.
Really?
Yeah.
So another excuse for my conceal and carry.
Yeah, but that island is off limits.
But there's an. So essentially, what you're saying, there is an island where the people are like 100% black. What is the hex for black? Is
0000000.
No, it's FFFFF.
Yes.
No, that's white.
Because 0000 is white.
No,
and
no,
F
you're
is
exactly
black.
wrong. Look it up. The HTML color codes.
What?
00000 is black. FFFFF is white.
Because you're adding all the colors to it.
Oh, okay. So
it was that one island where the missionary thought he could convert them to Christianity, and he showed up against everyone's advice, and
But they were actually like, was there video picture? What was there? Like, were they actually like black?
Yes.
Actually, I've seen an African model who's damn close to being black. There's also a condition. You know how albinism is the lack of pigment? There's also something called, I think it's called melanistic, or to be melanistic, where too much pigment is produced, more than normal. Like, there's certain, strange enough, college campuses are an interesting place to see strange squirrels. You go to the University of Michigan, I think it is, near Detroit. I think that's the place. You actually see melanistic squirrels that are basically pitch black squirrels. The gray squirrel of a certain mutation. And I think on the campus of Louisville, University of Louisville, there's actually albino squirrels.
Interesting.
There's a couple albino squirrels here, and I know that there were some at my parents' house. There were like 2 or 3 of them.
I think the reason they exist on college campuses is either way, they're not as well camouflaged as a normal gray squirrel against a tree bark and so forth. So in a completely wild environment, both an albino or a melanistic squirrel would probably get itself killed pretty fast. But on college campus, I mean, it doesn't have as many predators, and it probably has a lot of free food from the students leaving shit around.
Oh yeah. Now
public garbage cans.
Okay, for anybody who believes that Adam and Eve was a thing, which I do, but anybody who believes Adam and Eve was a thing, what coloration do you think Adam and Eve was?
Brownish. So like you would need to, just based off of genealogy, so with genealogy, if you just look at it with Punnett squares, which go look up what Punnett squares is if you don't know what that is, but essentially it's a 4 grid box. So it's a 2x2 box, and you have the recessive gene. You have recessive genes or dominant genes.
Yes.
So you have dependent on oh my gosh. So with skin color or just color of like plants and anything in general,
yes,
it comes down to what the dominant and recessive genes are. So you're gonna have, and then there's a mix. So for each of the different colors, you're going to have, so just for sake of simplicity, we'll do B and W, so black and white. If you have if you have 2 people with a mix, each of them has the gene for black dominant and white dominant, and then black recessive and white recessive. If those 2 people mate and produce children, any number of those children are going to have every single version in their genealogy from that point on.
Yes.
But their parents will be wrong. There's actually cases of this where people that have this gene structure in today's society will have twins, and one will be white and the other will be black.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where you have to get into like just more genealogy stuff. Whether or not it happened like that, that's up to your belief systems.
Yeah. Anybody else have any other thoughts on it?
Well, I think of Adam and Eve as basically a parable. I don't think of it as real, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's, up to you. I still think it is more on the realistic side. scientifically, we have been able to have certain studies be able to go back to scientific Adam, scientific Eve, and be able to take.
Well, seeing as how the earliest modern anatomical humans came from Africa, and it was my understanding at the time still very, very, very sunny. I imagine they were very dark complected, but I don't know if they look like any particular race that we have in existence right now, because people kept changing from there out.
Yeah, at very minimum, from a coloration perspective, I think they would still be of a darker complexion. You know, whether they're an actual like pure black or not, I don't know.
If you go live in strong sunlight, it's definitely an advantage.
That is true, because you know, like pigmentation still works the same as colors, not the same as light, but the same as colors. So if you were to take all your paints, mix them together, they're all going to eventually turn into a black color, right? So at very minimum, I think Adam and Eve, you know, or scientific Adam and Eve were of a black pigmentation or some type of a dark brown pigmentation. So yeah, a lot of the stuff that a lot of people understand or think, I think may be invalid just due to that. And there's a lot of people I used to deal with that would have issue with that. Not going too far into that, obviously, but yeah, Adam and Eve were not like white people, or the original people on Earth were not white people. You know, it was a darker pigment, because all colors can come from a darker pigment, but no color can come from a lighter pigment. So that's all I got on that, though. I don't want to get like too into it tonight.
Yes. Go look up Punnett squares. They're fun.
Yeah.
Do them on yourself. You'll figure out a lot of things about your parents and the grandparents. If you know that your parents, you can. I think it's if you know your parents and your grandparents, you can pretty much figure out the rest of like your family tree.
I know something about my family tree, and some of my relatives just only recently climbed down.
I mean, in terms of like different characteristics about you in a physical sense. So the fact that I'm patchy like here in the beard is because there's a little bit of French Canadian. That's more some of that stuff. It's not so much genealogy, but like the color of my eyes are like a dark, like gray to hazel kind of, or hazel green or whatever. I don't know. They're weird. But you can actually take that and then, so if you have blue eyes, you have the recessive gene, like a full recessive. And if you have brown eyes, or if your parents have brown eyes and you have brown eyes, you have the full dominant gene for brown eyes.
What
brown eyes are all full dominant.
Eyes change from green to blue? What is that weird ass shit?
That's light reflecting inside of your ear, or in your eyes.
No, I mean, I can wake up one morning and I will have a specific eye color. You know, the same time of day, it can be pitch black behind me. I can look in the mirror, you know, and I will have more of a green eye tone one day and more of a bluish eye tone the next day. And there will be some days where I am straight up 100% blue.
Mm-hmm.
And then other days where I am 100% green. And then other times where it's like in between the transition side.
Yeah, so your eyes are reflective at a certain point. So the color of your eyes is actually a bunch of, for lack of a better term, and I can't remember the actual term for it, but it's a gunk that's between your
so you're saying I have a lot of gunk in my eyes.
If they're brown, like if it's brown, it's blocking out all of that.
Yeah,
it's blocking a lot of light, so it makes it that color.
Are you talking about the sclera?
Yeah, that, I think. Maybe. I can't remember. It's been a while.
Definite maybe.
Not humans. You know what's a cool looking thing? Ever seen a chimeric cat?
Oh, no.
Basically, it's 2 cat embryos that fused while in utero,
Ooh.
and they have slightly different genetics, and sometimes they'll come out with really weird fur patterns and different eye colors. Because technically, it's 2 different cats genetically fused together.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I've seen these.
Also, it has happened from time to time in humans. There was this one lady, she was getting divorced from the father of her 2 kids, and I think 1 on the way. I think that was the deal. And they took a paternity test. The expected father came back as the father. She, however, came back, I think, as related, but not the mother of her own kids. And the father of the kids was like, well, I was there for the delivery, and yeah, she's the mother. And there was all this worry about she's trying to defraud the, I don't know, support systems and so forth for the government. And eventually someone came with the idea of, well, what if, because they found out about these people who are chimeras, and they did some testing, and it turns out that she was a chimera woman who like reproductive organs and such, were basically of her twin sisters who was fused with her. And they took a mouth swab. The genetics did not match. They took like a vaginal swab or the like, and they did match the genetics of the children.
That's nuts.
You can look this up. Look up chimeric woman, and you can find it.
That's like
it's
almost like I think it's like that's almost like platonic splitting of the person. Like the lower half, upper half, and then the head. That's nuts.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the chat. You can take a look at. Lydia Fairchild is the lady's name.
Huh.
That's nuts.
And there may be some other cases. I think there's some other cases that's happened, but that one just happened to be interesting because of the whole paternity thing and the government thinking she wasn't who she said she was.
That's actually kind of hilarious now that I think about it. That's hell to go through for like the paternity side. But it's my kid, but I don't know if it came out of the right woman.
Actually, it's still called paternity if you're testing the woman. What's paternity only when you're testing the man?
Paternity is man and maternity is woman.
No, maternity, yeah. So I guess it was a maternity test in her case.
Yeah, Lydia Fairchild. So Lydia Fairchild is an American woman who exhibits chimerism in having 2 distinct populations of DNA among the cells of her body. She was pregnant with her 3rd child when she and the father or her children, Jamie Townsend, separated when Fairchild applied for enforcement of child support in 2002. Providing DNA evidence of Townsend's paternity was a routine requirement. While the results showed Townsend to certainly be their father, they seemed to rule out her being their mother. A breakthrough came when her defense attorney learned of Karen Keegan, a chimeric woman in Boston, and suggested the similar possibility of Fairchild's lawyer, Alan Tyndall, who then introduced an article in the New England Journal of Medicine about Keegan. He realized that Fairchild's case might also be caused by chimerism. As in Keegan's case, DNA samples were taken from members of the extended family. The DNA of Fairchild's children matched that of Fairchild's mother to the extent expected of a grandmother. They also found that although DNA in Fairchild's skin and hair did not match their children's, the DNA from a cervical smear test did match. Fairchild was carrying 2 different sets of DNA, the defining characteristic of chimerism.
I don't know.
That's called a mutation.
Sounds like witchcraft to me. I don't know.
You know what's weird? And one of the reasons I stumbled across this was I was looking up the case of what is their name? Damn it! Person that was suing a cosmetologist or something up in Canada because they were transgender and people wouldn't wax their balls.
Oh yeah, like
I can't remember the person's name.
5-6 months ago.
but during interviews, they kept saying that they had both a uterus and testicles, and I'm like, is that possible? First of all, I think they're lying. This particular person, if you look up the case of Jessica Yaniv, if you look up their case, no, I'm pretty sure they're lying. But I looked it up.
Of course, she's full of. Of course, he's full of shit.
Yeah, chimeras, but apparently there are some people who are chimeras of male and female who could possibly have both a uterus and testicles.
Yeah, I'm glad we actually have the link on here. I would have never been able to spell chimera. I thought for sure it started with a T.
Oh, it's chimera.
Yeah, technically it's pronounced chimera.
I may be pronouncing it wrong. I don't know.
Chimera, isn't that what was in one of the Mission Impossibles?
Maybe it's also the name of a mythical beast.
Yeah, chimera is a mythical beast. It's was it made from a body of a lion and rear half of like an eagle or something like that?
No, it's body of a lion, back of a snake, and then there's a goat in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a three-headed creature.
Yeah. So body of a lion with a goat in the center.
And then a tail that is a snake.
Oh, is tail a snake? It's hard to tell.
Should be.
Oh yeah, tail's a snake. Yeah,
I played ancient mythology a lot.
Yeah, some of them do. It looks more like a hawk type of thing as opposed to a goat.
This makes me want to go to Ripley's Believe It or Not museum down in Florida.
Most of them.
I went to that as a kid. Went to that as a kid like 30 years ago. Ripley's Believe It or Not museum.
Yes. I actually like those.
Yeah, is that still in the newspapers?
Oh, okay. I'll do the millennial thing. What's a newspaper?
Exactly. All right. For those who don't know, it used to be. It wasn't quite a comic strip, but it would have a little bit of comic art, and it would have this description of some weird, fanciful thing that's happened in real life, like a chicken that existed with most of its head gone for a few years, or like the tallest man on Earth at one time, and that kind of thing.
No, it's not newspapers anymore. I know that I think the last Ripley's Museum was, where is that place?
I mean, there's still a lot of Ripley's.
I know there was a Ripley's Museum in Gatlinburg.
I know there was one in Florida that my family went to back when I was a kid.
Yeah, there's still multiples in Florida. I mean, I think even Fort Myers. No, not Fort Myers. Up northwest, way northwest. Where do I actually go to vacation? Shit. It's been a couple years. Fort Myers may have one, but St. Petersburg. Crap.
They have a website that has locations, apparently. Looks like, well, they have a bunch of different ones. In California, in Missouri, Tennessee, Wisconsin, New Jersey. I mean, they list a whole bunch on the site. I'm assuming the one I was in Florida, and I'm not sure which one. I'm assuming Orlando, because I think we were there at the same time. Or maybe St. Augustine. I know I've been to both of those places on vacations with my family when I was a kid. Or, as some people would call it, instead of St. Augustine, the fort itself, call it Fort Marion.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Panama City. Yes, there we go. Ripley's. Panama City Beach. That's where I like to vacation. And then you go from Panama City Beach down to Mexico Beach, and you get rid of the vacationers. And then it's just the locals, and it's really nice and quiet, and you have a beach all to yourself. And then you go south from Mexico Beach down to, what's that called? I don't remember. But whatever is southeast of Mexico Beach is where essentially all the fish comes in fresh for like a 300 to 400 mile distance coastal side.
By the way,
and it's freaking awesome.
By the way, Ripley's Believe It or Not has apparently been around for like essentially 102 years.
Nice.
Started in 1918.
1918.
Could have waited 2 years and it would have been sequential upwards at least.
I think that was the year my grandma was born. Huh.
In 1918?
I think even 1918 or 1919.
Okay. Yeah, that'd probably be about the time frame.
I remember I had a pistol that was older than her.
Really?
I still have it, but it's not all original.
Okay.
Just based on the slide number, which I think was, I want to say it was 1913 manufactured for World War One, but well, that'd be before World War One, wouldn't it? Wait, try to think with the date.
Yes,
but
that'd be pre-World WW1.
So it's like a 1911. It's not even a 1911 A1. It's like a 19. But they replaced the sights on it and then various pimped out things to it.
If it was a true 1911, oh my gosh,
well,
that would be tight.
It was manufactured after that year, but
okay.
Right. But I mean, like those first production models, like that is tight. Still want to pick up a 1911 here eventually, but
yeah, I'm probably not gonna shoot this thing ever again because it's kind of antique, and I have a pair of Ordnance TAC 4 now, which is basically very much like a 1911 but double stack. But let me see, is my webcam up?
Yep.
Yes.
Let me mute my mic.
And you said that is double stacked?
No, this one's not. My TAC 4 is double stacked. This is the old 1911 I was mentioning before. And I have to look at the slide and find it. Oh, crap. The dates listed, this is our patent number, which is the patent number is listed in 1902, but it has other dates on it, like December 19th, 2005, February 14th, 1911, and August 19th, 1913.
But it's got 2005 on it?
No, sorry, I said that wrong.
Oh.
1905.
Oh, okay. That's a lot better.
I'm like, all right, rebuild.
Dude, you are so screwed whenever it comes to value. If it says 2005
yeah.
But it's like 100 years old.
I'll have to look up the slide number to be able to be sure exactly how it is, because it's been a while since I looked it up.
Yeah.
And kind of FYI, the general term for those double stacks is 2011s, because they're more updated, because they actually are double stacked for a change.
Aren't they they're in the John Wick movie, right?
I think so.
One of them.
I'm sure one of them
Yeah,
is.
my TAC 4 is pretty nice.
What?
It'll hold 13 rounds in the magazine.
What?
45.
Israel.
And yeah, the TAC 14s hold 14 or 15 rounds, I think, and the Rock Island makes some that are like hold 19 rounds for 9mm.
What was so funny?
Dude, I mean, we're talking about 1911s. You're like, oh my gosh. I just forgot what you were even talking about. What'd you say? John Wick.
John Wick, yeah.
You're like, John Wick. Like, 1911s have been around for like a freaking 100 years. John Wick's been around for like 5.
No, dude.
No.
Okay, come on. No, the 2011, which is newer, and I watched that movie. I'm like, okay, it's a 1911, but it's way different, and I didn't know what it was. Right. And I just learned about what the 2011 was, which is what we're talking about.
I may be a little off in the numbers before. According to the Colt site, when I type in the serial number, it lists several different models, but for the model listed as 1911 military, which my understanding this one is, because it does have someplace on it, something about the U.S. Army. Model of 1911 U.S. Army on it. So, based on the serial number I popped into Colt's website, apparently this one was made in 1915.
Nice. 105 years old. That's pretty sweet.
So I'm just going to keep this thing greased up and not use it. I also have a really nice, what was it? A Colt Police official revolver that's in 38, but unfortunately it's gunked up inside. So it while the outside is beautiful, the inside needs some work. The cylinder doesn't move properly.
So it's not cycling correctly, I'm assuming.
Well, I could probably fire it, but you have to really pull that trigger damn hard. And so I'm thinking something's gunked up in the cylinder causing a problem, because when you try to turn the cylinder by hand, you can, but it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can always send it to a reputable gunsmith and see what they can do.
Probably what I need to do, but I don't plan on shooting it either because it's in such good condition. Otherwise, I figure, they pimped this thing out with a few things that obviously aren't original military, like these mother pearl handles.
Nice.
And they put this weird ass sight on it.
I mean, being nice. Have you shot it?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. How did the sights work?
Well, I'm not particularly a good shot, so I'm not a good judge. I'll have to have Mark give it a shot.
I mean, because those handles, those are freaking beautiful.
See, I don't like mother of pearls. It's too gaudy for me. But one of my problems with this type of sight is it's
gaudy,
too sharp.
but it looks
when you try to rack it, you gotta be careful not to lose your grip or you'll scratch yourself on those sights.
Yeah. I tell you what though, that is a really good looking gun.
That sight almost looks like a piece of an extender. So like you have that bolt that's in it, right? Mm-hmm. That looks like something to where you would just put like another like red dot almost on it. Like you would take that piece off and then put that bolt back through it.
Red dots didn't exist whenever that sight was put on.
Exactly, which is why I'm like, neither did the pearl handguards.
Yeah. Other than this and the 38 I mentioned before, I also have a Colt Python.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the Colt Python I'd still be interested in, but those handguards are so ugly. I would give you $50 for that gun.
I'm assuming it's worth more than that.
No, just don't talk to anybody. Okay, fine, $75.
Let's get into a bidding war. 200.
Now the Python, it is fun to shoot. It's a 38. It's a decent. It's not 38. Well, it shoots 38 also, but it's a 357, and it's
yeah.
Always bringing it out.
It's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, see, that's just pretty.
This one came out in the 60s at some point.
Let me see the full view of the handle. Like, I'm so on that handle. That for me, it needs to be just a little bit bigger. That's why I don't like the majority of 38s. At least in a pistol. Yeah.
Well, it's a 357, which means it can shoot 38 special, no problem.
Yeah, but a lot of the 38s and 357, just that kind of cop handle. That one actually, I mean, because your hand's about the same size as mine, so I may be able to grip that appropriately. Most of them are so stinking tiny that they want to fly up.
Yeah, I have a little
in my hand.
I have a little snub nose that's like that.
Yeah, because they only go like 3/4 way down my hand. So that one looks like it has an appropriate handle. Like that wouldn't be too shabby.
Yeah, and after this stream, that crazy motherfucker on Twitter that wants to red flag me is probably trying to do it again. Of course, you can also, nice thing with this, it's only 6 shots, of course, like most revolvers, but you can get speed loaders for it. And actually, I have a revolver that does 9 shots, but it's all 22 long rifle.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense, because otherwise that cylinder would be like this big if it was 357.
Well, I've seen a 357 that's a sort of snub-nosed 357 that holds 8 rounds.
I've seen 8s. I haven't seen 9. And my very limited gun research.
Yeah, that'd be a freaking huge.
Yeah,
a hedgehog army defends it. It's got a whole hedgehog army up here.
Nice.
Gonna turn into tiny soldiers if anyone walks in trying to steal your guns. Tiny hedgehogs take over the world.
Yeah, hedgehogs.
Did no one get that reference?
And that old movie's older than I am.
Wait, Tiny Hedgehogs taking over the world?
Tiny Soldiers.
Oh, I remember there was a Toy Soldier, or what was that? I remember there was a movie in the late 90s that was about these little toy soldiers, and they were fighting some kind of primitive caveman toys.
The movie's called
Small Soldiers.
What's it called?
Small Soldiers.
Small Soldiers, sorry.
I think, that sounds right. I never watched the movie, but I remember seeing the commercials.
That is so freaky. The entire, electrical cord lights up, too. Oh. No, there we go. I entered the combo correct that time.
I'm like, are you opening the microwave? Or...
Yeah, you open up the microwave.
Yeah.
Pull out the heat.
The microwave. There is a small safe somewhere around me. So
which one is? What's that?
This is the Springfield 9 with it has a laser on it, but I subcompact like this gun. It is a 7+1, so 8 total. Nice little gun.
Don't lie. That's Jada's everyday carry.
No, she has another one. And I carried a 45 for years. Really liked 45. But honestly, it got really freaking heavy.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of consistently carrying a full-size 45 all the time. And this thing is light, very, very concealable, and I can move it anytime, anywhere.
I kind of like the feeling of this particular one, though. I think I did have the one...
That kind of looks like a Smith & Wesson. What is that?
It's a G2C from Taurus.
Oh, okay.
A shake fire.
Yeah, supposedly made in Florida, my understanding. But I think Taurus is a Brazilian company. It'll hold 12 rounds in the magazine. And one of the nice things about it is when I have a round in the chamber, this little indicator pops up to let you know. And it actually has a manual safety, unlike some of the polymer guns. I've taken it out one time so far to shoot because I need to get me some range time someplace. But Mark tells me the sights are a little bit off. But I don't know. It feels good in the hand, and I just need to practice with it more.
Yeah, and one thing with this one, it is a straight-up single stack. I don't know what the model number is called, but they do now have that is... and they have like this size at 9 as well as a 45, but they have a double stack that gets it, I think, up to like 9 or 10, maybe higher. And 2, with a single stack, you're still going to have a very skinny handle. I
don't think this one's too bad. It's
not
a double
necessarily
stack.
The greatest, but
this is a double stack. It holds 12. And I don't think
nice.
the handle's too big, but it's the grip's not too bad.
Yeah.
I just need to get a range to shoot it at. I've been thinking about joining one of the local conservation clubs.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's going close.
You could always move out to the country.
As long as I can get a good internet connection, that might be a possibility.
See?
I have a friend who lives out in the Knobs. Sometimes I go out to his house and shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the nice thing about where I live. 2 homes down from me, they still have an internet connection. 3 homes down from me, they do not. So I'm right at the end and still have a high speed, but I also have about 4 acres, and I can shoot out here. Don't get the sheriff's called on me all that often anymore. Whenever I first moved out, sheriffs got called quite a bit, but now sheriffs don't get called all that much.
I would like to get a chance to shoot this a little bit more too.
It also depends. Like if you talk to your neighbors and say, "Hey, look, this is where this is the area where I'm going to bust off at." They typically turn a blind eye.
Once the sheriffs come out after they called a couple times, the sheriffs are like, "Quit calling us."
Oh, this is that PT. Remember, I was asking on the chat about PT-22.
Yeah.
This is the one I got. It's the polymer frame one. there's a screw you can take out of the bottom, but notice there's no screws on the side, so it's not like the aluminum or steel framed one. I don't know what the other type of P22 is. This one's the receiver is mostly all polymer, and supposedly you can get this grip off, but I don't know if you can get a replacement grip for it anyway. So I don't know if it matters.
Yeah, that was the thing because Taurus. So I found that thread where they were talking about taking that grip off, but yeah, that was the thing I didn't know because like the grips that you posted took the 2 screws, and that obviously wouldn't work.
Looking down the magazine well on this, it doesn't look like it would have the receiving holes for that.
Yeah, so actually looking and finding like there may be a few companies out there who make a grip.
I want to make it all purple, and I saw those purple grips that had the fluttery on it.
Why do you want purple?
I like the color purple.
I mean,
maybe I'm a Prince fan.
I get it. Okay, yeah, I can see that. I won't take it any farther than that.
He was good at guitar and apparently pretty good at basketball too.
Yeah. I didn't know. Where'd you hear that one?
From Charlie Murphy.
Yeah,
Eddie Murphy's brother.
Charlie Murphy stories of Dave Chappelle on Dave Chappelle show.
And I think he had more than one collaborator on that. Collaborator.
Collab.
I can't say it. That basically said, that Prince could play basketball pretty damn well.
Yeah, and Prince himself said, it really happened.
Before or after he passed away?
This is well before.
Oh, okay. Good.
And did Charlie Murphy die too, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he die of? He didn't seem like he was that incredibly old.
Like Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, leukemia.
Oh, bummer.
Was he like okay, so first off, I didn't know who Charlie Murphy was. Was he a stunt double? Or
No. He was
like fully independent, separate from Eddie Murphy?
Well, I think he was a part of his entourage from time to time, but he was also on the Dave Chappelle show.
Right, and then one of his early acting roles was in Harlem Nights.
Oh,
if you remember
because he didn't look exactly like Eddie Murphy, but there's definitely a resemblance there.
Right. The first scene I remember seeing him in was the fight scene where he was fighting a lady and he shot her in a pinky toe.
Yeah, Harlem Night was pretty good because that had like 3 generations of people who inspired each other. Because it had Red Fox, who my understanding was a big inspiration to Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor was a big influence on Eddie Murphy.
So,
and then it had, I don't know how much of an influence he was on Chris Rock. But wasn't Chris Rock in that movie too? No, he wasn't. Shit. Oh, that's right, Chris. That would be too early for Chris Rock. Chris Rock. I vaguely recall Chris Rock being in a Beverly Hills Cop movie though.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Was he?
Yeah, he was like the what's the term for someone who puts away your car?
Valet.
He was the valet at Hugh Hefner's place.
Oh, nice. I'll tell you what, Chris Rock has been in a lot of stuff. You know, as I watch movies that just kind of come up, it's like, holy crap, Chris Rock. But the biggest person ever that I'm like, what in the hell? Holy crap, there he is again, Samuel Jackson. I keep watching movie after movie after movie after movie, and it's like, what the?
Yeah, the first
Samuel
movie
Jackson is in like 50% of every movie's ever created.
I know
at least that I watch.
There was a movie way back in the day. It was basically a retelling of like some of the Lilith stories and so forth. It was called Death by Temptation. I think it was DEF by Temptation. A guy named James Bond III directed it and starred in it, along with Kareem Hardison, who was the guy from A Different World. A Different World? Is that what it was? What was the Cosmos show spinoff?
Yeah, it was A Different World.
All right.
Really?
Yeah, Kareem Hardison was in it, and Samuel L. Jackson played the lead character's father, a preacher who apparently fell to the temptations of Lilith, or whatever they called the character. It was that kind of temptress thing. Yeah, I remember it being a decent horror film, but directed by and starring, like I said, this guy named James Bond III, who never went on to do anything else, as far as I know.
Huh. I mean, because like Samuel L. Jackson, he is in just so many things, like something's House for Unique Kids, or what was that movie where not Pagnerets.
Holy shit! All right, I looked up his active filmography. James Bond III hasn't been anything since 1990, so apparently that's when Death by Temptation came out. But apparently he might be in something last year called Transit. He directed anything else? No, one directing credit, producer credit, distributed remains. Okay, he's done some producing since then, but he hasn't directed anything else. And I remember his one film he wrote and directed, Death by Temptation, was actually pretty good. Or it was like one of those films that you remember back when they had pay-per-view on cable TV.
Yep.
Well, I had satellite, so I didn't have to pay. But this is back before everything is brother was scrambled, or we had a descrambler. And I remember it being on one of those channels and watching it, because they used to play a lot of really B horror films, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, like The Hitman's Bodyguard, Kong, Skull Island, Triple X, Return of Xander. I mean, there's a lot of low-level stuff, but I mean, The Kingsman, Secret Service.
Yeah, he's the main bad guy in Kingsman.
Yeah, Black Diamondite, Captain America.
Yeah,
I mean, because he's done a ton of stuff there.
He's probably been in more Marvel films than any other single actor, except maybe Robert Downey Jr. Maybe.
Robert Downey Jr. has that.
Robert Downey Jr. or
well, Stan Lee at a certain point, but because he's not in those anymore.
Well, yeah, Stan Lee, but also what is Professor X, the original?
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, yeah. I mean, he's got to be pretty high up there.
He's got 5 because he's got X1, X2, X3, or sorry, whatever. Origins, Days of Future Past, and Wolverine. So 6. Or sorry, old Logan. Yeah, Logan. So 6. He's in 6 of the Marvel movies.
And there's still one movie that was produced underneath for Fox. It hasn't been released yet. They're still going to release, called New Mutants. But they're doing it like a horror movie. I don't know if they're going to integrate it into the mainstream Marvel universe or not. I'm kind of doubting they will.
I kind of want them to go outside of the main universe, because there are a couple of cool, and Sony might be able to do this. So while the MCU's still going and Marvel's like, all right, cool, do all this, but like with Enter the Spider-Verse, they hit on all the different Spider universes, and they actually hit on one that's actually really good. And it was running back in like 2010 on the comics side, was the Noir series. So Marvel had a what if scenario of what if everything was in 1930s noir, and we put all of our characters there, like what it would look like. Spider-Man is freaking insane in the noir setting. The X-Men are nuts. Like they're like a full mob boss, or like the full mob storyline. Iron Man is a full like Indiana Jones, James Bond mix.
So what year was
actually
this?
Very good.
This come out?
The comics, I think, came out like 2010, 2011.
See, because it seems like what Marvel's putting out now is all crap. Like, have you seen? Did you see the recent characters they're doing for New Warriors? What was it? Snowflake and Safe Space.
Oh yeah. The Wonder Twins, the knockoff.
Oh gosh, no.
Yeah. Wow. So here's what they did. So so Marvel Noir is a 2009 to 2010 Marvel Comics alternative continuity combining elements of film noir and pulp fiction with the Marvel Universe. They did Daredevil Noir, Iron Man Noir, Luke Cage Noir, Punisher Noir, Spider-Man Noir, Weapon X Noir, Wolverine Noir, X-Men Noir, which is really good, X-Men Noir, Mark of Cain, and that is pretty much it. And And like I said, Spider-Man Noir shows up in Ultimate Spider-Man, the animated series, Spider-Verse Part 2. There's a lot of TV stuff. And Enter the Spider-Verse, the movie. It's also been featured in a lot of video games. I've played them. They're awesome. The Noir bits are like playing Splinter Cell, but you're Spider-Man.
Huh. Nice.
So it is very well done. It is my favorite comic strip or comic line ever.
Okay.
All right, you guys have got to see this shit. Hold on a second. Let me see if I got everything set up. Hopefully this goes up to YouTube stream because I'm capturing things in a very weird way. But if nothing else, you all can watch this and get your reaction.
You can also share a YouTube video through Jitsi.
Yeah, but then it doesn't go out where it needs to.
Oh.
Can you all see it on the screen?
Yes, sir.
And let me check my OBS. It'll be delayed on the OBS, all screwed up, but it'll have to do. All right, let me get back to the right freaking window. Crap! Now Jitsi's getting in the freaking way. All right, let's play this.
Play it.
Right, that's not the right fucking screen again. All right.
Okay. Play the right screen.
I used to read New Warriors.
My name is Daniel Kibblesmith, and I am the writer of New Warriors #1. I got interested in the New Warriors later. I remember seeing them on the shelf when I was a kid, picking up comics in the 90s, and just feeling like they were too cool for me. Like I was intimidated by, Night Thrasher had a blade coming out of his wrist.
Now, I don't remember him having a blade necessarily, but maybe he did. Usually those baton things. Night Thrasher, if you don't know the character, he's basically Marvel's answer to a black Batman. He's basically a normal human that's very skilled and is rich.
Nice.
Nova was really buff. They were all the edgy characters for the 90s, as the cover said. New Warriors, I thought, were really interesting characters because they occupy this really cool space. They're forever young, but they've now been around for 30 years. My editors on the previous books I'd done, like Loki and Black Panther versus Deadpool, asked if I'd be interested in doing a New Warriors tie-in that actually poses them as the authority figures in this conflict instead of the rebels, and I really liked the tension of that. So because the New Warriors are the authority figures in this story, they have to be mentoring New Warriors who are under 21 and subject to the laws that triggered the Outlawed event. This new law is making it illegal to be a vigilante under the age.
Isn't it always illegal to be a vigilante?
That's what I've heard.
DC New 52. Or sorry, no, this is Marvel. So Superhero Act. As long as they're registered with the government, then they are fine. As long as the government has all information on powers, weaknesses, and etc.
Okay.
Which is where the Civil War comes into play.
That there are a couple other things, but I'll leave those for off stream in regard to vigilante side.
The artist on New Warriors #1 is Luciano Vecchio. He designed all of the new Warriors and gave them costumes that felt as modern as the New Warriors costumes, to sort of feel classic and instantly familiar. So the first character that we're introduced to is Trailblazer. She's a group home and foster kid who is volunteering at a senior center when this mysterious threat shows up and Night Thrasher runs to the rescue. And because she helps him, she ends up in the crosshairs of this new outlawed law. And she inherited from her grandfather a magic backpack of divine origin. We picked the name Trailblazer because she's somebody who charges into action. She knows that she can do some good with.
Yeah, she has a tagline. I remember seeing one of the bio cards or something about it's a gift from God, but not the God you're thinking of, or some shit like that.
This mysterious gift that she's been given. Screen time is a internet kid taken to its sort of logical conclusion. As a youth, he was exposed to his grandfather's experimental internet gas.
Experimental internet gas. I want you to roll it over. Y'all haven't seen this video before?
I have not seen that. That is some. Oh my god!
It gets worse.
that has patched him permanently into the World Wide Web. The word screen time is only ever used in a sort of restrictive sense. And because we're doing a story about teenage rebels, a lot of the names are about teens fighting against labels that are put on them. So
you don't call a teen screen time. That's not a label put on them. Some people might talk about limit your kids' screen time, but it's not used as a pejorative in the way this dude's saying.
It's whatever, man. Just keep.
With screen time, we liked the idea that he has infinite screen time. Snowflake and
so he's tied to the internet. So basically, he's a dude with a smartphone.
Yeah, DC already has this character.
What's he called in DC?
He's Static Shock's sidekick. Binary, I think, is his name. He literally can. He literally has the ability to read and analyze code at supersonic or at like speed reading levels and decipher it to a point that he understands the ins and outs of everything. And he also does that to other devices like badge access and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it
I don't know.
Shows that this is, and Static Shock was something that was like 2005. Come on.
Well, there was a character called Cypher in the New Mutants back in the 80s who, as I understand, could understand any language. And my understanding that also included encrypted stuff.
Yes, that would probably be accurate with a name of Cypher.
Safe Space are the twins, and their names are very similar.
Wait, let me rewind that so you didn't
twins,
get the name.
And their names has infinite screen time. Snowflake and Safe Space are the twins, and their names are very similar to screen time. It's this idea that these are terms that get thrown around on the internet that they don't see as derogatory, to take those words and kind of wear them as badges of honor. Safe Space is kind of a big, burly, sort of stereotypical jock.
All right. What stereotypical jock do you know that wears hot pants?
Safe Space. Wow.
Oh gosh.
See, I don't watch much sports. Is that the stereotypical jock?
DC had the Wonder Twins, but this is bad.
Yes, because you saw at the beginning like how they were all hugged up and shit. I'm sorry, but I don't hug up with my sisters like that at all.
Oh yeah, no. I think Jack has seen this video before, maybe.
He can create force fields, but he can only trigger them if he's protecting somebody else. Snowflake is non-binary and goes by they, them. Snowflake...
Of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? Wait, whoa. You said Jack, so is Jack also non-binary?
No. I just Jack just sighing,
All right, let's get this going.
It has the power to generate individual crystallized snowflake-shaped shurikens. The connotations of the word snowflake in our culture right now.
You know how useless a shuriken actually is in a fight? I mean, as far as... You're not going to get deep enough to kill someone.
Wait,
Barry, you might be able to piss somebody off if you throw it right.
But did he just say snowflake culture?
Yeah,
in our culture right now,
or
something fragile.
I wasn't aware that there was a snowflake culture. That's definitely interesting.
Right,
the word snowflake in our culture right now are something fragile. And this is a character who is turning it into something sharp. Snowflake is the person who has the more offensive power, and Safe Space is the person who has the more defensive power. The idea was that they would mirror each other and complement each other.
And possibly have Tucky relations with each other. I don't
know. their family tree goes straight up.
It's a stick.
I can't talk much shit. I was born in Kentucky, so you know.
Those are the jalapeno on the sticks. Family tree.
But at least your tree has branches.
Oh, this next character.
That's what matters.
This next character is actually the least fucked up of them, called B Negative.
Goth kid. When he was a baby, he got a rogue life-saving blood transfusion, we assume from Michael Morbius. And now he has a very similar look and very similar vampire powers. B negative also is obviously a pun. It's a blood type, which is great for a vampire character. And it's also a proud ownership of the idea of having a bad attitude. I want the people who read our New Warriors to feel all of the excitement that they felt if they read the 90s one. We want it to have big, colorful characters, personality clashes, romance, a diverse cast, which is something that the New Warriors titles have always strived to make a priority. Every New Warriors comic has always felt like a reflection of the year that it came out. And I don't think...
I was going to say no.
I don't think we're worried about being dated. Oh, you are going to be dated so hard.
No.
We're not worried about being dated, and they're killing the comic book industry.
Yeah, what they are trying to impose currently on, characters from 15, 20 plus years ago, no. Like,
we're worried
that is not the sentiment.
But at least they're creating their own characters to fuck the fucking.
Yeah, that's better. Well, I remember they did this one fucked up thing where in one of the comic strips, I can't remember who the fuck wrote it. They have a daughter of Odin going down to see Odin's father or something, and they put in a caption instead that said something about something, MRA filth, unsolicited opinions about Israel. I'm like, what the fuck would an Asgardian god be thinking about Israel?
Yes, exactly. Who's pissed off with me? I don't do shit. Come on.
About being dated. I think we're way more interested about it being now.
By the way, there's a ton of videos responding to this making fun of it.
Yeah, it's bad. I saw the safe space and the snowflake. I think you showed it to me. But that is just... Man, New 52 was weird. This is gonna be freaking weird, man. No joke. All right. Well, Adrian, we have exhausted
everything.
The notes.
Yeah, we're about at 3 hours and almost 3.5 hours. So I guess we'll call it a night. I'm going to end the YouTube stream. Everybody, thanks for joining us, and see you next week. And I may have one of my isolation streams in the meantime. Who knows? I might eat enough MRE in front of you.
Yes.
Have a good night, folks.
Adrian likes to eat.
Oh yeah, man. I'm going to gain some weight from in here. I haven't drank any alcohol in over 2 weeks. But
good.
Yeah, I've probably been eating badly. Anyway, catch you next week. Bye.
See you next week, everyone.